Hello and everybody, welcome to the CCS. We are here for the second semifinal match as we have number one seeded Collective Effort taking on number three seeded Predictive Gaming Oden. They're facing off for a ticket to take on Lost Chapter in the finals. I'm Elsa the Queen and I'm here with Geiken as we're already into the draft.
Yep, it's going to be an interesting one. If I'm correct, Predictive Gaming is the only ones to take this team down previously in a series. So we'll
Yeah,
see if they're going to be able to do
absolutely.
it again. That's always
Yeah, so
the best part.
Predictive Gaming, they were the only team that was able to take a series off of Collective Effort throughout the regular season. Collective Effort, just with that one loss, and for Collective Effort, notably, they have the MVP of the league, Filiberto in the mid lane. He is their carry. A lot of people say that he is kind of the one who puts the team on his back. So excited to see what he can do against this kind of more well-rounded PGO team. As the bans have come through, we'll see what Collective Effort wants the first pick here.
Yeah, Nocturne, Zillion, and Vigar on blue side. We're going to see the Echo, Aatrox, and Ashe on red side. I mean, you got to wonder, though, if the mid laner is their biggest strength, should they just target him as far as most of these bans go?
Yeah, and they already have targeted him a little bit out here. Geiken Echo banned out from PGO. That is Filiberto's number one champion played in solo queue. You know he likes picking that one up, kind of with the ability to hard carry. And with the first pick being a Mumu for Collective Effort, I really like this one personally. I think that it's a strong, flexible pick. It doesn't commit your team comp too hard into one spot. And I also think it's interesting, should it go to the jungle, because we've seen in the CCS a lot of priority actually going on to the Jarvan. No Jarvan to be seen right now as PGO picking up the Trundle and the Caitlyn in response.
Yeah, but if they pick the Jarvan up, where would Amumu go? Support? Because I've tried it, and it somewhat works. Somewhat. Because it's kind of just playing like with a Leon or something. Once you go in, you're in. And the Curse of the Mummy getting buffed however long ago now is so good. We got a Xin Zhao and a Ziggs though, so hey, we might have an Amumu support.
Yeah, and Amumu support, I know I've seen a lot of it in higher level solo queue, watching some of those Tracking the Pros streams, and we've also seen it here in the CCS. We know Snow Life over on Limitless Future really favored that one, and for me, it's really the two stacks of the queue, being able to have that, being able to use that bandage toss multiple times in a row, that's so powerful. So Collective Effort really putting a lot of emphasis on that, probably, as we stated, going down for Cidermill in the support, but with Caitlyn Morgana being picked up by PGO, this is a really strong bottom lane, has a lot of range. The Morgana, kind of a nice counter to the Amumu as well, being able to use that black shield and protect the Caitlyn from those bandage tosses. And Trundle as well is from PGO. This is another flex pick. We know it can go support, although it probably will not with the Morgana picked up, but it could go to the top lane or the jungle. So like PGO, kind of keeping Collective Effort on their toes, as we do see the Annie ban coming up from Collective Effort. This shows me that Collective Effort has done their homework for tonight. Whole Grain Man, the mid lane for Predictive Gaming Oden. He is a huge Annie player. It's also something that he likes to take blind. So I think they're forcing PGO to maybe save that counter pick for round 5 for themselves. We'll see what they decide to pick up here.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. And I was thinking about this. If it is an Amumu in the bot lane with the double bandage toss, you know, he could really psych people out because the bandage toss, the black shield, all it would do would stop the stun. He should still be pulled towards them. So if he really wanted to, he could pull himself towards Caitlyn, and then whoever's in the bot lane with him could just turn on to Morgana, and he still has that second charge to stun Morgana up. You know, so I'm just excited to see an Amumu support if that's what it turns out to be. And right now, it definitely looks to be that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was interested to see what Me Crit You Now, the top laner from Collective, was going to pick up. He is somewhat of an Aatrox one trick in solo queue. We see that PGO banned that one out right away. And then they do take the Camille for Huffzone. This is his signature champion in the top lane for Predictive Gaming. And I also noticed that in solo queue, it was the second most played as well for Me Crit You Now. So with the Jax being picked up instead, and then an Aurelia also probably going to the mid lane, you know, Jax versus Camille. We actually saw Huffzone take this matchup against, I can't remember which team it was, but with Mr. Turk and the top lane, the Jax versus Camille, and Huffzone absolutely smashed it. So he clearly knows this Camille Jax matchup really well. But with Aurelia for Filiberto, this is a champion that's such a high skill champion, and Malphite as the last pick, probably going into the mid lane. And I like this kind of creativity. I wonder if this was a prepared counter pick by Whole Grain Man, if this is something he's run into the Aurelia or not. But I like the fact that he'll probably be able to, stack that armor against this very aggressive pick. So a pretty interesting draft coming out so far from both teams.
Could we see a Camille mid? Maybe. I mean,
it could be.
It's such a rough. I mean, both teams are outside of Caitlyn Morgana. Both teams are very interesting. Definitely a lot of flexing around. I mean, you could put Camille in the jungle, Trundle in the top lane with Malphite mid. You could do all kinds of things. Xin Zhao could be top side with Jax in the jungle. There's all kinds of things that we're going to see. And as we're in the actual draft, we'll be able to see where these are going to go, precisely, and be able to get ourselves a little bit of a insight check on it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. For me, I do think it's pretty straightforward, although I guess, like you said, as it looks like we're having a little bit of issues with maybe the client draft, but just to speak to this, Camille, as you mentioned, Gaiken, I mean, there's this chance that possibly the Camille could be put into the mid lane instead, with Malphite going into the more traditional top lane role. I really wouldn't like that personally for a couple of reasons. First of all, as I already mentioned, Huff Zone, he's a huge Camille player. He's someone who has a mastery over this champion. That's who I would want to see on the Rift, piloting the Camille. Secondly, Camille really works very well in the top lane in particular because of her hook shot, always being able to stand next to the wall. Having the angles to be able to use that ability is really critical, and I do really think that this Malphite is kind of this prepared counter pick into the Aurelia, stacking armor. I mean, I know you were even talking about it before the stream, Gaiken. You never know, but you could get the full AP Malphite one shot. But I'm anticipating probably a little bit more of a tank build.
Yeah, seeing the team that Collective has, the full one shot wouldn't work. Aurelia is too tanky. Jax is too tanky. You need, if you're gonna go with a Malphite one shot, you need at least 3 to 4 members of the enemy team to be super squished.
Yeah. No,
I put a lot of AP Malphites to really study this and figure out what's best and what is not really needed.
Yeah, so we got our resident AP Malphite expert. The ruling is in. Probably not going to be AP Malphite, but we'll see. And this is just not a match. I mean, I feel like I've seen Aurelia versus Malphite in the top lane my fair share of times, but not in the mid lane. So I am excited to see that. On top of that, I also think that it should be interesting to see, will Whole Grain Man maybe be able to take advantage of the Malphite by getting around the map a little bit more efficiently as well, because when you're in that mid lane, it does provide a little bit more flexibility to run up top, run bottom, and use that ultimate. So we'll just have to see if he's able to do that.
Yeah, and definitely bot lane would be a good place to go. I mean, Ziggs and Mumu. Ziggs does have the satchel charge, so he has a little bit of mobility. But, I mean, they'd be pretty easy pickings as long as you're able to land your Dark Binding with your follow-up traps from the Caitlyn Morgana.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right, Gaiken. I mean, Amumu certainly shares some of the aspects of, like you said, something like a Leona that has that kind of engage potential. What I think is a little bit different, he doesn't really have the peel potential that something like a Leona, something like an Alistar can bring, being able to stun up the Malphite before he can get there. If Amumu is going to do that, he's got to jump all the way in, and then he's going to put himself in a really vulnerable spot. So I think that bot lane is definitely going to be where the Malphite's going to choose to go. What I'm looking for is for the Xin Zhao drip irrigation to put a lot of pressure on this Malphite early. Similarly with Charizard on the Aurelia, but with these melee mid laners, they are, when they're pushed up, they're forced to get so close to the minion wave. They're forced to be so far forward in that mid lane. And so I'm anticipating quite a number of jungle mid 2v2s early. And for me, Xin Zhao and Aurelia wins that jungle 2v2 10 times out of 10.
Oh yeah, I mean, until Malphite and Trundle are level 6, they shouldn't do too well. Malphite also is going to need some armor. He's going to want that Bramble Vest, as well as probably seeing the team comp for Collective. He's going to get them iron boots on, so he can just kick people with plates and not take very much damage from it. from those basic attacks. And the only scary thing I see though is if Malphite loses early on and this Aurelia gets ahead, because it's an Aurelia. We all know what Aurelia can do. We all know the problems they have. It's the same with the Jax. If Jax gets ahead, but Malphite being a melee champion as well, he's going to be very prone to a lot of the poke that Aurelia is going to be able to unleash on him. And I definitely think even post 6, at least up until Malphite gets a couple items under him to get that armor really going, he should lose most to all 1v1s.
Yeah, and I think that extends to pretty much the entire top half of the map for Predictive Gaming Oden in this game. We know that Camille also has an incredibly impactful ultimate. That's kind of when she'll be able to come online. Trundle gaining that subjugate to be able to melt a little bit through targets, similar for him as well. But before we get into game here, we're going to take a little bit of a break, but don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back after this spectator delay for Game 1 of Collective Effort versus Predictive Gaming Oden. And we're here in game 4, game 1 of Collective Effort, taking on Predictive Gaming Oden. Both teams running onto the Rift, and Gaiken, it looks like we might have a little bit of an invade possibly here already in game 1.
And why not? You have the bandage toss from the Amumu. Cider Mill should be, as long as you land it. He gets 2 charges from level 1, correct?
Yep.
So if he lands 1, he's ready to go. But you do see that Predictive Gaming, they've warded up that bush. They know that it could be coming. So they're just playing it really safe. They have a 4-point, not a 5-point, but a 4-point. So they're not going to be, they're not going to fall victim to the level 1 invade. But yeah, I like the idea.
Yeah, this is just a really smart ward from Oddmitch to be able to spot out any potential invade. It looks like in the end, Collective Effort is just going to decide that they're not going to go for the invade at all. Maybe waiting as a kind of a counter move to see if Predictive Gaming themselves wanted to go for an invade. But Obviously, as they don't, they're going to just call it off, and we are going to see drip irrigation there on the bot side. And I think that I'm interested to see with both these junglers starting on the same side if we might see some kind of a fight in the top lane. You know, we did highlight how kind of the mid lane probably would have the most vulnerability in terms of all lanes, but the Jax and the Camille, you know that they're going to be scrapping it up early, mid, and late, so wouldn't be surprised if jungle pressure there right away would make a really big difference.
I'm going to go ahead and say I got all my money collected. Malphite, what is Whole Grain doing? Unless he's AP. He could be AP, but if he's tank, he has no resolve tree. None.
Yeah.
I think the last time I casted on this channel, I saw the tank go with arcane comment and stuff, and I just hammered it in. No, maybe it wasn't this one, but anytime I say I hammered in, you have to go grasp. If you're going mouth, at least resolve it somewhere, because you're not going to be tanky. Like, you just won't be tanky. Not nearly as tanky as you think you're going to be. And I know people put the counter argument like, oh, look, he's got a lot of poke. It's not going to matter, but there's one bandage toss already.
Yeah, and generally I would agree with you. I think that the poke obviously does kind of wear off, especially against something like an Aurelia that is going to have a lot of sustain, especially as she kind of gets through these levels. Definitely getting a lot of health back, should be able to sustain through the Q. And I wonder if we will see a Q max build from Whole Grain Man, which does kind of extend your ability to poke for a little bit longer. Definitely gives you a little bit more gank assist as well. But, you know, you do have to give it to Whole Grain Man. He has established quite a bit of a CS lead for himself here early. But now with Charizard coming up to the top lane, we'll see if they try to make something happen early.
Yeah, there's going to be a stun from you now. Excuse me. Nice use of the pillar, but he's going to force flash out. And that's going to be a safe Jax. Good gank, though. They got the flash. That's what you want. Huff does have the Ignite teleport, so he's going to be looking to try to get aggressive now that Crit has no flash to be able to get away. But he's
yeah,
going to go
getting
in.
that.
Ooh, beautiful use of the hook shot.
Yeah, and the flash early coming out from the Jax is really important. You know, Charizard, as we might see a fight.
Yep, Cider Mill's here as well as dripping. Now, Philly is trying to go in, but Charizard's there. The Bandage Toss is going to connect, but he's in a little bit of trouble. He does have some support, though. It's going to be a 4v2. You do see support come from the bot lane, but it's not going to matter. That is going to be Charizard going down. First blood over to Flan. Nice use of the Dark Binding. It is going to be on Cider Mill, but they can't really follow up with it.
Yeah, and just a beautiful early roam from Cidermill, forcing Charizard to eventually ending up going down. And it seemed like PGO was maybe a little bit more aggressive than they should have been. Not sure if they just, you know, weren't exactly aware of where Drip was, but ultimately just some really nice communication and early game rotations. In addition to that, I thought that Flan had an absolutely awesome use of the satchel charge as well, just to make sure that Charizard isn't able to get over to the wall and use his flash to get over, which it looked like he was trying to do. So ultimately only the Ignite from Cidermill being used, and that's just going to be a huge win for collective effort early in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about that CS lead. Philly with that one gank has closed it fairly well. He does have the level advantage though, or at least the XP advantage at this point, so he's going to be level 6 first. And you know, if you're playing this pokey Malphite, you want to be able to force them out of the lane, force them away from the experience. You do not want them to be able to get those levels, or or the CS. And he's still maintaining it, but I think after the first back, the poke is going to be subsided very easily. But
yeah, and I think that's the point probably where if you're Whole Grain Man, you want to start moving around the map and trying to affect the rest of the lanes, because it looks like the level 6s for these mid laners will be coming in quite shortly here as Drip Irrigation, he's sitting on a ward there, so Whole Grain Man is going to be able to keep himself safe for now, and I'm just excited to see kind of when the first team fight breaks out, because that's something that we know both of these teams does seem to have quite a bit of prowess is in these team fights. As top laners both scrapping it up a little bit, but
Kiryu now has the Sheen, so he does definitely has quite a bit of a damage advantage into this Camille. But you know, Camille, I mean, I guess both these champions cheat. Camille gets a shield, Jax is just Jax. I mean, but look, Huff is gonna go in, the Ignite's there, and he knows he's dead. Maybe not, actually.
Yeah,
no,
he is
Kiryu is gonna survive. Huff just ending it a little too early on the pursuit, but yeah, there's gonna be one Bandage Toss. Weak side ADC able to get away with the 90 caliber net, but the second one is going to follow up. Look at the damage coming out, but it's not going to matter. Dark Binding is going to be thrown in a second at any point. No, does not throw one at all. But Dragon, this might be a fight here, but we're going to see a mid laner low on mana. TB is coming in from Crit U now. Philly's going to be chasing out Charizard. They're going to try to look for it. Oh, Odd Mitch in a lot of trouble. Just going to flash over the wall real quick. And I think that Dragon was stolen, wasn't it?
Yeah, we saw the pings come down. Charizard was the one to start the Dragon up, but then all of a sudden when we came back to it, we just saw Philly B and Drip Irrigation being the ones to have the priority. They're sitting on it, and I think that speaks a lot, Gaiken, to what we already touched on in the draft, which is that the jungle mid 2v2, maybe even the jungle, yeah, the jungle mid 2v2 is just a lot stronger from collective effort, and that is going to be respected by PGO, so I think if it's one thing to give away the dragon early on, give away this infernal dragon, but it's another thing to start it and kind of waste your time there.
Look at the damage. You're not taking it all. The flash is not going to be enough, and Philly's going to be able to get the easy solo kill. I told you. I've said it. As soon as I realized that he had Arcane Comet, it was not going to be enough. He did no damage to Philly with that last Q. Philly knew that he was going to be able to get this easy kill, and he is going tanky. He has that Cinder Bomb.
Yeah,
or tanky-ish.
Yeah. And Philly Berto, I mean, he's the MVP of the CCS for a reason. He is absolutely dominant. He's the only player to be in Diamond, actually, in this league. So, such a strong player, but top lane.
He's fine.
Yeah, is able to get away.
He's the only Diamond player in this, huh?
Yeah, so yeah, Philly Berto, he's the only player who's at Diamond in this league. So, you know, even his rank kind of shows that he's the best player. I believe, as per the rules, I would assume that he was not Diamond coming into it. Never has hit it before.
There's another flash, but Dark Binding's gonna be enough. We're gonna see the ult come out. Crit's trying to do what he can. He actually might get out of this, but there's an unstoppable force, and they're gonna be able to get themselves their first kill of the game.
Nice kill from PGO, but so many resources having to be committed up into this top lane. We can already see that Philly Berto has been able to push into the mid. Looks like he's just roaming to maybe check out some of the vision or something like that. Looks like PGO is going to try to follow it up with the Rift Herald, but with Philly Berto coming down to the bot lane, yeah, the weak side ADC, he was in danger of a dive, but smart instincts on his part to move all the way back as the Caitlyn, and even smarter to actually just end up canceling his recall. I don't think that they're able to dive him 2v2, so still is able to pick up a lot of this XP under the turret. Yeah,
without the Sad Mummy's Curse, it isn't going to be enough, but they found Drip Irrigation. He might be in a little bit of trouble. He's going to knock him away, but here comes Whole Grain. No unstoppable force, but there's going to be the hook shot. He's not going to connect. Philly Berto's on the other side. There's going to be the Dark Binding connecting onto one. Crit U now is trying to get away. He's going to be able to jump, but the Ignite's going to be down. There's going to be the slow smite. Misses the stun, Philly. And that's going to be a kill for Whole Grain, man. I was going to make it a MVP joke, but decided not to. I'll let him have that one. Not everyone can land everything, but wait a minute. Here it is. The play is here. Whole Grain. Oh, he's in so much trouble. He's going to walk into there. They're actually going to look for Charizard. He's going to be able to get the stun down. There's going to be an Ignite, and there's the kill to Philly. I keep thinking of Philly cheesesteaks.
Not enough vision there from PGO. Just, I'm not really sure why Whole Grandman would want to walk into that brush to begin with. There's nothing for him to get in the jungle. And on top of that, you know, he just doesn't have, he can't see there. So just kind of a little bit of a sloppy play. And yeah, Philly Berto, he did miss the stun there, trying to get that one on the Aurelia. But what I will say is it was barely off getting a 4-member stun from PGO. So he set his sights high, ended up not hitting any of them instead. Maybe could have hit one of them if he had just committed to trying to get one, but tries to get it all. And I will say I like the early game grouping from Predictive Gaming Oden, sending 4 members into that top side. This is one of the reasons that you might want to draft a Caitlyn, who does have a lot of agency early on in the lane and is just able to sit there under the turret, not really under much pressure, especially from something like a Ziggs, which does kind of struggle to a little bit in the dives. So clearly some planning from Predictive Gaming Oden here.
Yeah, I like the Caitlyn pick too. Definitely very safe. You're able to farm, and you've seen Odd Mitch has been roaming around constantly after, you know, once they hit level 4 or 5-ish time frame. You know, they went to the top side and everything to get a kill, but wait a minute, Philly is trying to fight Whole Grain yet again. And there's that damage not doing much. But Cider Mills here. Odd Mitch is here as well. Going to look for the Dark Binding. Is not going to connect. Actually, you got 4 members here.
Yeah, and a lot of people into this mid lane. Looks like they're really trying to set up for the Dragon. It would have been nice to be able to get the kill on Whole Grain Man to start it up, but instead they're just all going to be here for the spawn of it, and it doesn't look like there's any chance for PGO to be able to grab it. But I like the response from dropping the Rift Herald here in the top lane. They recognize the map state. They saw all 4 members down towards the bot team river, and they should be able to pick up the first turret here from Predictive Gaming Oden. So lots of gold going into the pocket of Huff Zone
and a fight. Ooh, unstoppable force to get out. But yeah, sorry, you were saying.
No, that's totally fine. I didn't want to cut into the play-by-play.
He TP'd actually.
And not able to get anything off it, so that is going to be a pretty big cooldown, just because Me Crit You Now is going to get his back. It's not quite up yet, but it's going to be back quite a bit sooner than Huff Zone. So if they do want to try to take something like a full 5v5, Collective Effort should absolutely know that they have the advantage there. So we'll see if that pans out to anything. But in the meantime, taking a little look at the CS numbers, Huff Zone has been able to punish there in the top lane, as we do see him almost 20 CS up over this, 26 CS up over this Jax. In the mid lane, Filiberto has taken the lead, and I don't anticipate that he'll let go of that for the rest of the game. It's going to be about Whole Grain Man and the utility that he's going to be able to bring, whereas Aurelia brings the utility and the stun, but also more importantly just that pure carry damage potential. And I don't think that Collective Effort would rather have their kills on anyone else than Philly be here. He is set up 2-0-0, already has the Divine Sunderer.
Yeah, we see Charizard coming in. There's the fight he's going to have. The ult's there. He's going to be ignited up. Excuse me, there is no ignite. Wrong person. Philly's going to try flash, but he's going to Dripping Air Creation. We see the TP coming in. He's trying to make his way in, but Charizard, he's getting real low. He's going to be taken out. Knockup is going to be there, and that's going to be 1. Killing spree for Philly. Now they're going to look for more Huff. He's trying to get out of this. No hook shot. He's just going to ult to try to keep someone safe. Does not crit into the tower, but Whole Grain Man trying to make it forward. We're going to see the flash. Nice use of the Bandage Toss. That's going to be 3 kills going over to Collective. And that's a triple kill for Philly. Oh, no. That's not what you want.
Yeah, and I said it would be that Collective was happy with him having just 2 kills. 5 is a lot better. Triple kill for Filiberto. And the amount of time that he was able to buy in that mid lane, it looked a little silly at first, to be honest, the way that he was just, diving in between members, hitting the CS. It was kind of just like, well, eventually you're going to get run down. But no, he was just buying some time for Me Crit You Now. And we talked about how there was going to be a difference in the teleport timing. They take advantage of it right away, having the Jax being able to teleport down there. And then reinforcements do eventually arrive from Predictive Game, but it's just too late. There's already so much damage that was able to be dropped by the Aurelia. Also, the Xin Zhao just so strong in these skirmishes. And I was speaking of the CS before. Look at the jungle gap here, Gaiken. I mean, there's over a 30 CS difference between this Xin Zhao and Charizard on the Trundle, and it is going to manifest itself in actually not that much of a gold lead when I am looking at it. They're both kind of near that 5K mark, but ultimately Xin Zhao just clearing a lot more of those jungle camps.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what he's really good at. He's one of the faster clears. I mean, we do see Charizard, he has that Tiamat. It does help him out quite a bit, but Xin Zhao is, like I say, he's just really good at clearing jungle. He's really good at rotating around the map, and I've always really like Xin Zhao. He's not necessarily a proactive ganker, but he's definitely really strong in the reactive role of a gank. But they're going to look for a tower dive top. Cider, he's going to be able to land the Bandage Toss, but TV's going to come in. That should be a kill. Yes, Huff is going to go down. But there's a Dark Binding. Kind of just defensive. I had to turn my sound up for the game, because when I said there was an ignite, I heard the sound, what sounded like an ignite. I guess the sound's just not loud enough that it just melded together to me.
No worries, my friend. And one thing I want to highlight about that play is that Whole Grain Man, he also blew his teleport. So another wasted teleport from Predictive Gaming. It looks like they're really trying to play this team-oriented style where they're using those teleport abilities to be able to group up heavily.
Oh, Drip. He might be going forward. He's going to try again. He's going to look for the knockup. There's the Bandage Toss. Going to stop 1. Sabrum's Curse is able to get 2, but it's not going to be enough. Charizard, he's going to fall. We're going to see he'll come out. We're going to see Odd Mitch using the chains, but he's going to be Zoned in. Wait a minute. Here comes Philly. He's going to get the kill on weak side. Maybe. Yes, he's able to secure that one. Unstoppable force while under tower. Philly might go down. He's in a lot of trouble. He will fall. But is it enough?
Yeah, and crucially, that 950 gold shutdown does get picked up by Whole Grain Man, but ultimately, as you said, is it going to be enough? It is a trade up for 3 for 2 for collective effort. It's more gold going on to the Aurelia, so just very strong for them to be able to do that. Ultimately, you know, could have been worse, I suppose, for PGO. They were able to trade back 2 kills in return, but now the dragon has spawned again. It's going to be the 3rd dragon. Doesn't look like, well, there might be some kind of contest here from collective effort, or from PGO. We'll see.
I don't know how much it's going to do, but the Dark Binding is going to land. He's just going to get knocked away by the Scepter Charge Drip. He's trying to do something. They're going to kill Charge up before he's able to get it. He's going to smite early, but here we go. Philly's in here town. You see the TP coming. They got the dragon! Oh my god, it's not going to matter though. Philly's still going to chase Charles. He's going to be able to flash over the wall. Philly's all by himself. Huff is trying to go in there. He's going to ult up. Now we're going to see the fight come in. We see Whole Grain here. We got 4 or 5 members, and Philly's just not quite fed enough for this. Now Flan is going to try to get out of there. He almost got the kill. Nice in the zone. We're going to see the hook shot forces the flash out of Flan. They get a kill. They get 2 kills, excuse me, and they get the dragon steal.
And I think it was just the puddle from Morgana that ended up picking it up. It didn't look like she was in auto range, so kind of just, honestly, a little bit of oversight. I was surprised that Drip, you know, I understood when he went on Charizard initially, and then Flan was able to drop the Super Mega Inferno Bomb to, you know, deal that damage, but I thought Drip Irrigation was going to go back. Maybe he just, like, kind of took it for granted that they were going to be able to finish that dragon, but that's really huge for PGO, not only picking up the 2 uncontested kills to grab a little bit more gold for themselves, but also being able to get that dragon, because what I was going to touch on before that all started is that if there's 3 dragons already stacked up at about 17 minutes for collective effort, that creates a situation for where when in the rest of the game, PGO just has to spend so much time grouping up, trying to make sure that they don't give that soul away. It is an Ocean Soul, which we know is one of the most impactful ones, as it gives that health regeneration, which is so crucial for both of these teams, especially with both of them sporting some of these tanky champions. But now Predictive Gaming, they can sit back. If it's really necessary, they can give up 1 more Drake before they give up that huge target.
I don't really see many tanks on this game. I see, you know, semi-tanky Aurelia. Wait a minute, Philly's trying to go in. He's looking for the fight. Look how much damage he's taking. Man, if Whole Grain would have grasped the Undying Resolve, he might actually survive this. He's just going forward. Whole Grain's going to try to get away. He's going to use the Q for the speed boost, and he might actually be able to get out of this just fine. No, the flash is going to be forced, though, and that's going to be a beautiful play out of Philly. And as much as I joke, I mean, he just got shredded there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just that the Aurelia just becomes so powerful. Obviously, we do see the full tank build coming out from the Malphite. Doesn't have the runes to support it, but honestly, I think either way, this is kind of the problem with trying to counter the Aurelia pick with a tank champion. I mean, kind of universally in this game of League of Legends, damage does outscale tank. I know that's intentionally the way that Riot tries to create the game, but it's especially true with Aurelia. She has no problem just shredding these tanks, especially with the amount of sustain that she's naturally able to bring, which means that she can really just shrug off the small amount of damage that tanks are able to bring. Same as anybody else with Malphite. So for the rest of this game, the side lane play is going to be really, really difficult for Predictive Gaming Oden. Who is going to match this Aurelia, right, Gaikin? Because I don't know.
I have no idea, but Charizard might have been a little bit of trouble with Drip Irrigation and Cider Mill, but the Dark Binding is going to land on a 1. The fight's still coming through. He tries to knock him away. He's going to give himself a little bit of a shield. Obviously, ranged attacks outside of the spin can't hurt him. And it looked like they were trying to steal that scuttle, but yeah, PGO was able to take it. Yeah, but like you're saying, I have no one is really going to be able to match this Aurelia right now. You know, even though Malphite's a tank, he's one of the better ones, because if he just builds pure armor, it does increase a lot of his damage. It's more consistent damage, being his autos whenever he decides to, you know, buff himself up with his W and things like that. But the one thing that I think a lot of players fail to realize when it comes to, like, obviously when you pick Arcane Common over Grasp, is the Grasp damage. Not only does it proc a lot, especially if you're in a continuous engagement, but the damage scales based off your max health. So you know, and you heal off of it as well. So it definitely will help you in these fights. And if you're gonna fight something like an Aurelia, you need as much tankiness, damage, and sustain as you can get.
Yeah, and yeah, at this point, he's just not going to have that sustain. It doesn't matter how many items he picks up because Aurelia is going to continue to pick up items as well. And especially with Aurelia grabbing the Blade of the Rune King, which we know was changed in the most recent season, to be able to have that on-hit percent health damage, that is just super good at shredding the tanks. Also gives the life steal, so Aurelia, as I already pointed out, so Aurelia is able to continue to sustain through. And it's already time for another dragon here, and I like that PGO at least has been proactive in setting up the vision around this one. I think that we're going to see a fight over it, though.
Yeah, Cider is going to get hit by the Dark Binding. He might be taken out really easily, but it looks like Drip's going to go in, and he's going to see Cider flash out. There's the Mega Death Bomb's coming out of Charizard. He is going to barely survive. Unstoppable Force can be there, but look at this pre-red stun coming in from Jax. That's going to be a shutdown. Now they're going to look for more Charizard. He's super low. Can he get out of this? No. He is going to fall. We're going to see Philly in the backside going to get a kill on the Morgana. Huff is able to get one, but it's just about time. Yes, and he is going to be taken down, and that is going to be almost an ace going over to the side of Collective. 4 for 1.
Only Whole Grain Man surviving, and Philly Berto once again. I've been harping on him all game. Me crit you now. He had a really nice two-man stun, but meanwhile, the Aurelia is in the back line, taking up the time of 3 members from PGO, and I wonder if Baron's on the table here.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be an easy take for them. But you hate to see it, you know. You hate to see your tank go in and then run away. And sadly, Malphite being as far behind as he is, Whole Grain, he can't do much. Once that Unstoppable Force is used, I mean, he doesn't have much else in the tank, but we're going to see the TP coming in. They're actually just going to meet. just going to walk up to Huff. They don't care.
Yeah, and they don't want to. They only want to take high percentage plays here. It's still close enough as they do control the vision.
Cider might. Okay, he's able to get away.
And so they're not going to go for the Baron finish. I think that's okay. They don't have anything riding on it. They already got the Drake. They already won the team fight. Their only risk is to, you know, die at this Baron and give the lead back over to Predictive Gaming. But now looking a little bit as we go through this game, looking at the team comp from PGO with this Malphite in the mid lane, they're really missing a little bit of damage. It seems like in these team fights, as you said, Whole Grain Man jumping in and then just going away. He doesn't really offer the DPS that they need to be able to take down the champions from Collective Effort. You know, Collective Effort, it's not necessarily that they have tanks, as we do see this 1v1 fight. They don't really have any tanks, but at the same time, the Jax, the Xin Zhao, the Aurelia, and the Mumu to some extent, who I guess is a tank, they have a lot of ability to shrug off this minimal damage from this team comp from Predictive Gaming. And unless the Caitlyn is able to stay alive throughout the whole team fight, they're just really lacking that consistent damage that you need to be able to take down something like a Jax, something even like a Xin Zhao.
Yeah. And I haven't been able to keep track of exactly where weakest ADC and Odd Mitch are, but wait a minute, let me see a little fight. Hookshot's gonna be used. Philly, he actually might have met his match for a second. He took quite a bit of damage there. A third of his health was gone once he missed that stun.
Yeah,
but like I was saying, I don't know if Odd Mitch has been sitting on weakest ADC, weak side ADC or not during these fights, but that might be something they need to think about, because Philly and Crit You now are just getting into that backside, and you need this Caitlyn. Like, you have outside, I guess, of Huff zone, you have no other damage.
Yeah, no, the damage is really going to be lacking, and I think that they Collective Effort has identified that really well. We do see them jumping kind of straight onto this Caitlyn right away in the team fights. Philly B maybe looking for a fight there, but he is going to back off. But now once again, we see, you know, 2 minutes on this next dragon. Now it is the soul point. So if you're Predictive Gaming Oden, you really want to contest this next dragon. Not for a little bit, so they don't need to put down their vision yet, but they're probably thinking about this one already, because if they were already having trouble ripping through Collective Effort, they're really going to have trouble after this Ocean Soul is popped. possibly picked up. That just makes it so much more difficult for them. So we'll see if they try to gain some vision here in a little bit of time. But we do see a little bit of a lull state. And I guess what I will say is in the side lane, I do like that Huffzone has been able to step up and match Filiberto on the Aurelia better. And then I guess I thought he would have been able to. He does bring quite a bit of tankiness. And also with that hookshot, you can kind of opt out of fights whenever you want. So like the fact that he's been able to do that, you know, Whole Grain Man, he does have quite a bit of tank sets. I mean, it's notable that Whole Grain Man, despite the fact, you know, we're giving him some shade for the fact that maybe this isn't the best counter pick, you know, maybe his runes, but he is sitting at 2-1 and 2 right now. So it's not like he's feeding. So he is able to match the Jax pretty well because notably Mikrit, you know, hasn't been able to pick up those kills that Philly B has. So the side lane issue that we thought the Collective was going to have, or I'm sorry, Predictive Gaming was going to have, it has been matched up pretty well here.
Yeah. Wait a minute, TP's coming in. They're looking for the fight. Charizard's trying to go for it. Odd Mitch is going to be here. Dark Bind is going to land on the Philly. There's going to be unstoppable force. Oh, the combo's coming in. And Flan is going to be taken out. But wait, no, actually gets killed on Cider. Excuse me, Charizard. But we're going to see the flash from Odd Mitch. Philly, he's trying to get in the backside. There's going to be the Staircase shield. It's going to be enough. Filiberto is still alive, but he's going to be taken out. Triple kill for Huff. They're trying to look for this kill. Can they get it? Weak side, he's going to be there. But nice two-man stun coming out of the Crit You Now. And they're still looking for weak side ADC. They cannot get onto this Caitlyn. Flash forward. He's going to be able to finally get taken down. Crit You Now is looking for more. This could be it for Huffzone. We're going to see Drip taken out. Crit You Now. Can he do the unthinkable? He's by himself. No, he cannot. And that is going to be a beautiful team fight from PGO.
And Whole Grain Man steals the Penta at the end. I don't think it was close enough to be a Penta as Huffzone did pick up that 4th kill in the team fight, but they were able to kite that one out so beautifully. And I want to call out on Mitch on the Morgana, had a beautiful binding in the middle of that team fight to be able to stop the Aurelia from getting back onto his ADC, and you called it perfectly, Gaiken. Weak side would not die in that team fight. Eventually, finally is able to get taken down, but the damage is already done. Literally able to rip through so many members of Collective Effort, get them soften up. Huffzone ends up picking, Weakside doesn't end up picking up any of the actual kill credits, but I would bet you that he did the majority of damage for PGO in that fight.
Yeah, the start of the fight was beautiful. The dark binding onto, I believe it was either Philly or Cider got hit by it. I couldn't really tell in the bush. One of them got hit, then you saw Whole Grain instantly with the unstoppable force, and then you saw the Camille out of just nowhere from behind, instantly on top of both of them. Did not allow Filiberto to get anywhere. And then you just saw weak side just kind of hiding around. You know, PGO did exactly what they needed to do. Keep everyone off of weak side. Keep him off of weak side. Let him do what he needs to do. And by the time weak side died, you know, it wasn't enough left in the tank for the side of Collective to be able to finish off the rest of the enemy team.
Yeah, and we know in this league that PGO, they're a big trash-talking team. They're very competitive, and they're really showing it in this game as that they go down pretty substantial lead for Collective Effort, but they don't shy away. They continue to fight their best fights. They did pick this team composition that does, you know, it does shine in the fights where they're able to, you know, layer multiple ultimates on top of each other, and they do just that, and having that initial burst of AoE damage really helped out.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Huff might be in a little bit of trouble. You see two members top. They're going to look for more, bot lane. He's going to use the ult to try to get away. Hookshot is going to be stopped by the stun. Beautiful by Philly. Now Huff is going to be taken down. That's a huge shutdown.
Yeah, very important shutdown. Huffzone just getting a little too aggressive. He really doesn't have any place being that far up in the lane. We do see some wards on that side from Predictive Gaming Oden, but not sure if Drip Irrigation got through them unspotted or if Huffzone just wasn't really checking his mini-map, but kind of a surprising lack of discipline there from him. But it is just one pick.
They're looking for Cider. There's going to be the pillar. I don't know if they have what it takes. Drip Irrigation is going to be here as well. We're going to see Crit You Now. He tries to go forward. Cider, he's looking for the sound of his curse. There's going to be a 3-man stun. No, weak side's able to get outside of it, but it's not going to matter. Odd Mitch, he sees the zone you're going up. He has the chain. And the backside, though, Philly's able to get a kill. We're going to see Odd Mitch fall. Flash is going to be used by Whole Grain. He's going to try to get away. And they thought they had themselves the cheeky play, but it almost looked like Collective knew what was coming and prepared for it.
Yeah, and that's the problem with going on the support in Cider Mill to begin with. He's a tank, so he takes quite a bit of time to be killed. And then even once he does get taken down, well, he already used his ultimate. That's pretty much all he's good for, to be honest, at this point in the game. And Collective Effort looks like they're going to be able to pick up the Baron, and crucially, again, looking at this Caitlyn from Predictive Gaming Oden, Caitlyn got taken down early in the fight. That means that there's just so much ability for the collective effort members to continue to sustain through the team fight and take down the other members. Charizard does have the subjugate to be able to drop that one down, but did use it on Cider Mill early, so they tried to rip through the support, ultimately do so, but that's fine for collective effort. That's the least valuable member, especially again after his ultimate has been used. So a little bit of a questionable move, just committing so heavily towards that pick. And I agree with what you said, Gaiken. It seemed like it was all kind of planned out. Like Cider Mail didn't really go away, move away as quickly as you might have anticipated he would. And I think that was just because he knew the rest of his team was coming.
Yeah, there definitely was no worry. At least from what it looked like, there was no worry. But they're going to look for more drip. We're going to see TP coming in. Cider Mill is here. The rest of the team is coming down. No, their TP's going to come in creeping. I was looking for it, but Drip Irrigation might be in a lot of trouble. The Mega Bomb all right on top of Huff Zone, but Drip, he should fall. That's going to be a shutdown. Philly trying to get in the backside as quick as he can. Dash away. They're going to be another kill. Huff does fall. Now it's going to be a 3v4. Charizard's going to fall. That's going to be a 3v3. And oh, no! Philly's in the back. The all's down. And it's game over. Collective with the ace. I think it's done. Maybe not. They may not push through, but I think Collective has found out what PGO is trying to do, and they're just shutting it down.
Yeah, and again, just a little bit of an overreach from Predictive Gaming Oden. They all in onto this pick, onto Drip Irrigation, who does stay alive for so long on this Xinjiao. He has that Sterix gauge to be able to pop that big shield for himself. And with the death timer still at about 10 seconds, it's going to be close here, but it looks like Collective is going to go for the ending.
Yeah, they might be able to. I mean, you got 3 seconds on Charizard, Odd Mitch is up, weak side, everyone's going to be up. I mean, they're pushing through these towers really fast, but Crit's in a lot of trouble. He did have to flash out. They're going to chase. They're going for it. The hookshot is going to be there. Nice use of the daggers by Filiberto.
And I wish we could see that fight again, because that was every Aurelia's dream right there. Stunned up at least 2 members, might have even caught 3 with that flawless duet, but then also dropping his ultimate onto 3 members. You knew from that point that it was game over from Predictive Gaming Oden. And look at the ability to rotate just down to this dragon, but PGO then won't go out without a fight.
No, they're really looking for the fight. Dark Fine's going to land on Filiberto. He's going to have all the ultimate land on him. Can he get taken out? There's going to be unstoppable force. But that's going to knock Whole Grain away. Whole Grain is going to be the first to fall, and that's going to be 2 taken down. Filiberto, he's healthy. And now he's going to TP in from behind. Oh, no, he's going to be able to get more. Odd Mitch is going to walk straight to him. He's looking for it. He's going to find another one. That's going to be 3 kills for Filiberto. Unstoppable at this point. 13, 3, and 7.
And that's going to be the game for Collective Effort. It just took them one more fight, but they end up finding it. Just Huff Zone left to defend the Nexus, and he is not long for this world as Philly B. He wants one more kill for himself. Not sure if he's going to be willing to dive the fountain, but we got everything we wanted in this first game. Ultimately, Collective, they did take a pretty big lead by the end, but it was close throughout a lot of it, and our MVP, Philly B, he showed that he deserves to be up there with an awesome performance on the Aurelia. PGO's got a lot to think about before game 2.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot to think about. They need I mean, and don't get me wrong, I think they played those team fights pretty well. I definitely give a lot of credit to weak side ADC. As an ADC myself, I was watching a lot of the things he was doing, and he made sure he got out of a lot of those big team ultimates. He would get out of the Sad Mummy's Curse. He would use that 90 caliber net beautifully in a lot of ways to get away. Obviously, when you have a team, you're going against a team comp that has so much dive, it's hard to get away from every. But I was paying attention to what he was doing. And he was not getting caught out as easily as you would see a lot of other ADCs, especially when you have, again, big team fight ultimate.
And before we go to a break here, I do just have to laugh because I'm looking at the damage chart right now, and I totally agreed with you, Gaiken. I felt like weak side ADC did play those fights really well, but looking at the damage, he did less damage than Odd Mitch, his support. So just pretty funny looking at that one in the end. He definitely did. I think it was that his damage was crucial in the specific moments that he was able to lay it down, right? The team fights.
No, hang on. You know what? I'm so tired. As a support player as well, I'm so tired of when everyone gives the ADC flack for not doing damage. Like, if you're a tank or you're a support, that can poke, you just passively do damage all the time to the enemy champion. Like you just do damage. It doesn't matter. So I don't want to hear it. Weak side, you did great. I loved watching you in the team fights. It was amazing. All right, don't let this man bring you down. You did fine. It was hard. You had an Aurelia, Jax, Xin Zhao, a Mumu, and a Ziggs all trying to jump on you. I would not. Oh my god, I would not be able to. That would just not be a fun time. That's a nightmare. I'm gonna have dreams about this now.
All right, well, we are going to go to a short break, but don't go away because we're going to be back in just a couple minutes for game 2 of Collective Effort versus Predictive Gaming Oden. All right, hello and welcome back to game two of our second semifinal here in the CCS. And we're straight into picks and bans as I'm a little bit disappointed, Geiken, that PGO doesn't end up banning out this Aurelia. I felt like Whole Grain Man, he could pick anything he wanted into it, ended up picking the Malphite. It didn't work out. So I guess I want to see, will PGO first pick the Aurelia right here and not give it over to Collective Effort? And no, it's going to be the Ashe instead. And if you're Collective Effort, I feel like you just pick up this Aurelia one more time.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. I mean, Philly had such an easy time on it. Okay, they're gonna go Xin Zhao and Shen. I mean, it could be two things too. If they are comfortable, if Collective's comfortable with knowing that PGO won't take the Aurelia, they can just kind of, wait till the later point of either the first phase of the draft or maybe even the second phase if they don't ban it. But the question does become, though, what does PGO play into this? Like, what do you play into the Aurelia? I mean, if you try to go a tank again, like Malphite, please pick the right runes. That's all I ask. But outside of that, like, there's not a whole lot you can really do sometimes. Like, even the counter picks into Aurelia aren't strong enough if you don't know how to play them. And in this elo, the mid plat, low plat area, comfort still outweighs meta.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I do want to point out here is with Predictive Gaming, Oden having the Zilean up again, that one is going to be picked up. Now, Zilean definitely a flex between the mid lane and the bot lane, but I know that it's kind of the specialty of Oddmitch, the support from Predictive Gaming Oden. So I would anticipate that this Zilean ends up getting put down in the bot. And with Shen being picked up for Collective Effort, it is kind of another homage out here to Huffzone. Shen and Camille, those are the two champions that Huffzone loves to play. So I like Collective Effort taking one of those options away. I'm curious if we might see Camille hitting the ban table in the second round of bans, Annie being taken away once again. So not yet, but also Jinx being picked up by Collective Effort shows me that they're kind of willing to scale. They have some nice tools to put around this Jinx already, with the Shen being able to come in with the Stand United. So being able to put a little bit of, or give it a little bit of help. And with the Jarvan also being banned away, I really like that. In the CCS, we've seen a lot of teams fall victim to the Jarvan against the Jinx. Jarvan is basically Jinx's worst nightmare, but hold on, we got a Soraka picked up here.
What is going on? These picks are just crazy. Blitzcrank was banned. I saw that. I'm so happy. I love Blitzcrank. He's a lot of fun to play and watch. But yeah, Soraka. They go from this hyper aggressive comp, well, at least hyper aggressive bot lane, to this more of a sustained bot lane. Obviously, Jinx wants to, just get items and farm and become this big hyper carry. But
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about a Soraka.
I mean, so we do know that Soraka got she got some buffs in recent patches, so she is a lot stronger. In fact, healing as a whole got some buffs against grievous wounds. But I also want to talk about this Singed that's just been locked in by Predictive Gaming Oden. Huffzone, I've talked to him in the past about how he was really happy about, again, another champion that got buffed, Singed. He said, I'm a Singed player. I know how to pick this one up. I'm not afraid to do it. And I also was looking at his solo queue records earlier today. He's played a lot of Singed recently, so he's been able to brush up on this champion. It's something with kind of a unique playstyle. Pantheon being locked in as well for Whole Grain Man. I like that AP was brought to the top lane to be able to lock in that AD addition. And now Collective Effort, they're hovering the Corki. It looks like they might be trying to go for something else that's not the Aurelia. They're just going to pass that one up, it looks like, with Corki finally being locked in. So that's a little bit interesting to me. I wonder if Philly B said, just give me something else because that's going to fit the team comp better, or if it was a question of the individual matchup. What I do know is that having these 280 carries paired up with the Soraka and the Shen, they have a lot of support to be able to stay alive and sustain through these team fights. So kind of this double AD, kind of more hyper carry sort of focus from Collective Effort. We're definitely going to see something a lot different from what we saw in game one.
Yeah, and I'm still questioning why the Aurelia wasn't picked. Like you said, it definitely, I mean, with the game that Philly had, and I'm looking at the picks over on PGO, Mordekaiser can easily take the Aurelia out of the fight. Even if Mordekaiser can't necessarily kill Aurelia, you can at least take her out of the fight so your team can potentially just clean up the rest of the enemy team, and then hopefully you have enough members once Rayleigh gets out of the other realm, to take her down. You have Zillia, and he's gonna be able to reverse time and keep someone or bring someone back to life. So I think Collective has the right idea going with the Corki and Jinx. They're gonna have a lot of range. You want to stay out of the way of the Mordekaiser. You want to be able to stay out of the way of Singe and Pantheon. Honestly, you just want to stay out of the way of the entire PGO's lineup. Zillion double bombs, Singe is going to throw you back, Pantheon's going to stun you up, and Mordekaiser is going to take you away. So I definitely think Collective is playing it the right way. But the downside to this, though, is Shen and Soraka, if you are this Jinx and you are taken out, you have no way out. You're done at this point. Even Corki potentially.
Yeah, not very much damage outside of that, but I also want to talk about this Mordekaiser jungle from PGO. Not something I even mentioned. I got a little bit mixed up in my picks as we were looking at this draft, but certainly not something that you normally see Mordekaiser in the jungle. But Charizard, he's well practiced on it apparently, or hopefully he is at least. He's going to pick up kind of this unique pick. And I'm curious about the clear speed for Mordekaiser because Drip Irrigation already showed in game 1 that Jinzhou was able to rip through this jungle quite quickly. He was able to gain advantage for himself even against the Trundle, which we think of as one of these higher tier junglers. Mordekaiser, he's not even on my tier list at all. I guess mostly just because I haven't seen it. So we'll see if Charizard is able to make this one work.
Yeah, I feel like Mordekaiser should have pretty good clear speed. I'm trying to imagine how his passive works exactly. If it's only going to be from the large monsters or if it's from all damage.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like my instinct is to say that it's only against like larger sources of damage like the large monsters or obviously champions just to prevent him from being a jungler, but just not something that you see in the jungle very often. So, but even thinking about this draft a little bit, I liked the way that they picked the Mordekaiser to kind of bait the collective effort into thinking, hey, we know what their top laner is. It definitely prevented, I feel like, some of the bans coming further through onto Huff Zone, which allowed them to be able to have that singed pick open later. So just kind of some interesting moves in the draft from Predictive Gaming Oden, and we'll have to see how both team comps fare as we get into game number 2.
Yeah, right now I'm just liking PGO. They're just both games they come out with this interesting comp to try to mix things up. And so I'm excited to see what this game is going to bring. I mean, Pantheon in the mid is not, anything crazy. But like you said, Mordekaiser hasn't been seen in the jungle in quite a while now. And then you got a Singe coming into play in the top lane by Health Zone. It should be exciting. If anything, if nothing else, it definitely should be exciting. But there is definitely a lot of worry when you do pick these off-the-wall comps that it's just going to fall apart.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just going to I'm excited to see how both of these teams fare as we get into the game. But we're going to take a short spectator delay here. But don't go anywhere. Don't change that dial. We'll be back for game 2 of Predictive Gaming Oden, this time on the blue side against Collective Effort. Will they be able to even up the series? We'll find out. we are. We're back for game 2 of Predictive Gaming Oden against Collective Effort. Unfortunately, we are going to start off this game with a pause, as looks like maybe we see a disconnect from one of the teams or something like that. Unfortunately, in our last semifinal, yeah, it looks like Drip Irrigation has a disconnect. Hopefully, it's not as bad as our last semifinal that I casted with Rye Chains, because we had about 30 whole minutes of game pause due to various disconnects, but I don't think it's going to be that bad this time.
I don't know. I'm getting old, so, staying up late ain't part of my repertoire anymore. I don't want a 30-minute pause, please. No, if it does come to that, it would be fine. And things happen, but it looked like you reconnected quite quickly.
Yep,
so,
believe so. Maybe just waiting. Maybe just waiting on PGO to say that they are now ready. But wanting to touch a little bit on the rune choices here. Interestingly enough, we got 3 conquerors on the top half of the map. From Predictive Gaming Oden, kind of just showing how strong that rune is. Interesting to see that one is ending up getting picked up by Huffzone as well in the Singed. Haven't seen that much of Singed, so I'm not sure what the most kind of popular choice is, but it looks like this time it is going to be that Conqueror, as we do get a little bit of now a delay in the stream. I have in the
game, yeah.
Yep, I'm getting a little bit of a pause, but now it's coming back. And also just wanted to look at the starting items here. Very, very interesting from both teams. But specifically, I wanted to talk about Flan, as we do see an invade that's not going to pick anything up. But the Jinx picking up the longsword and 3-pot, so definitely something that some ADCs do choose to pick up. But I like this choice against, in particular, the Zilean, who is so annoying with the amount of poke that he's able to output early in the game. So glad to see that he's reading and reacting accordingly.
Longsword on the ADC, man, that's some old school looking stuff. Now, I was thinking about this when you said the runes, and I was looking over the runes. Do you like the new rune system, or do you like the old rune system? It's almost like when you play World of Warcraft. If you've played World of Warcraft, or anyone who has, like when you play old, like classic WoW, and you have the the talent system where you can kind of customize a lot more to the new talent system, where it's like you get like 1 of 3 choices when you hit that specific level.
Yeah, I like the new one, but with this caveat, which is that I think that they could have done a lot to fix the old rune system if they had just allowed everybody to own all the runes, because as it was, you kind of had to like choose between whether or not you wanted to own enough runes to actually have a full page, or own enough champions to like go into ranked play. Otherwise, you had to play so many games. So with that, yeah.
It was pay to win back then.
Yeah, with that, I do like you said, it definitely eliminates the pay to win with the new system, and it is simpler too. So trying to get new players into the game a little bit easier with that.
But if you didn't have to worry, let's say you just didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff, like let's just like out of the creativity standpoint or perspective of the rune system, old versus new. And we got another pause. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we do see another pause here. And I think that, it's a good question. I am partial towards the new one, just because I think it puts a little bit more emphasis on your gameplay. But I'll also say that, Riot, where's the 1% crit rune, dudes? Like, they got to bring that back. Like, the fact that you can take that 1% crit was always hilarious to me in the old rune system, and they don't have that anymore. So that's the biggest fatal flaw of it for me. What do you think?
The one thing I don't like about the new rune system specifically is the keystone runes, Conqueror, Grasp. I don't like how it pigeonholes you into a specific playstyle, so to speak. And I know in a lot of ways it still gives you a little bit of flexibility, but it's kind of like when they redid the items, right? When you pick up that, was it mythic tier item now? It really pigeonholes what you can build around it. It makes you hyper focus on one specific build. Instead of just being able to kind of like hodgepodge a bunch of different ideas together and work with different things. I think it's like 2 or 3 items that I used to play on Malphite. I can't anymore. Now, again, they're AP items, but specifically him that I can't play anymore because they're all mythics and I can only have one. It's just like, all right, okay, cool. So then it's like, well, what do I do now? buy this.
Yeah.
And, and I know when Riot released the new items, they said, oh, it's gonna give people more flexibility to do different things, and it really hasn't. Everyone's still building the same old stuff after that first item.
Yeah, I would agree with you about the items, but I was gonna say also I was recently have been watching the rebroadcast of Worlds from last week, and as we're just having a lot of issues here so far, but it is all in the game. Thank you very much, Riot. That's their fault, not our production crew. But I was watching Worlds from last year.
Game.
And there used to be that rune Omni Stone where you like went through a bunch of different your keystone rune would like change every while. So I was gonna say you're probably a fan of that one, Gaiken, because that does allow you kind of a lot more of that flexibility. But unfortunately, they retired that one. They can't figure out a third keystone in the I can't remember what the tree is, but in that last tree, yeah, in the inspiration one to stick with. So. They didn't get rid of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was a fun. I've never personally used it, to be quite honest. I've never used Omnistone because of that random factor. Again, I guess playing because I play ADC and support, but the supports I play is, aggressive. So I want Grasp or Aftershock. I want to be able to have either consistent damage or my favorite rune or keystone is Grasp the Undying. But Whole Grain, definitely was playing with fire there. He did take Ignite, so he wants to play aggressive and try to get the kill on Affiliate early. But Corki does a lot of damage, but Charizard is going to look for Drip. Not going to be able to get the pullback, and it's going to be able to allow him to just walk away.
Yeah, and so looking a little bit more at the game, it has been pretty quiet here in the early game. I felt like the early game of the last one was pretty competitive right away, but definitely Oddmitch has been doing the job that we thought he was going to do. He's been throwing down quite a bit of that poke onto Cidermail. Now, obviously, poke against the Soraka doesn't end up being that great because Soraka ends up being able to create so much healing. She does get so annoying.
Whole Grain, he went in for it, but Drip was waiting for it. He's going to force the flash away, but there's the flash backwards, and that's back right after him, backwards. Maybe he was facing the other way and he flashed backwards. But that's going to be first blood going over to PGO.
Oh!
Wait a minute. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, wait. Not PGO. Collective's on that side again. What am I thinking?
PGO's on the blue side.
Yeah, I was thinking. I thought they swapped sides. I thought they were supposed to swap sides.
Yeah, there's side selection. I believe in game 2 went to PGO. They selected to be on the blue side.
Okay. Well, I was looking at the Discord. They said game 1, 3, and 5. And I just my brain's a rabbit right now. I'm thinking about runes.
So Huffzone basically just ended there. He got stunned, or he got taunted under the turret. That's just kind of a classic Shen trick right there, being able to get that dash taunt under the turret, and it takes, I believe, 2 or even it looked like 3 turret shots. I believe Mikrit now did flash forward just to make sure he could secure the kill, but it wasn't even necessary. And just kind of a rare mistake, to be honest, from this top laner from Predictive Gaming Oden. We don't necessarily see him do that in an early lead already manifesting itself from collective effort. Meanwhile, in the mid lane as well, we did see Whole Grain Man go forward on the Pantheon. This is something that you really do have to commit forward onto the stun if you're going to trade aggressively, but you have to know where the opposing enemy jungler is if you're going to make that commitment. Otherwise, Drip Irrigation is just right there to punish him.
Yeah, I think, like I said last game, this Zinzao is not necessarily someone who's a really good proactive ganker, but he's definitely really strong in the reactive role. He's able to catch people out, and I definitely think he plays better as that. You don't want him to go in first. You want him to be able to catch someone off guard because you want to get that knock up as easily as possible. And it looks like double pullback though, and the double bomb almost lands. Would have been a great play if it would have happened, but Oddmitch just a little off on that second bomb.
Yeah, not quite able to make it happen, but it is a nice aggressive play from the Mordekaiser there, being able to come in on that gank. Obviously, he does have those ganking tools with the Claw available for him, the Death's Grasp. So when he is able to land that one, that is a nice bit of CC to be able to gank for your lanes. Also, you already touched on it earlier, Gaiken, but the utility that the Mordekaiser is able to bring later, being able to grab one member and bring them into that death realm, is going to be interesting. Obviously, Charizard would love to be able to grab either Flan or Filiberto, so if he is able to do that in the team fights, that's going to make a huge difference. Obviously, in that death realm, not able to get the heals from Cider Mill and the Soraka, not able to be a recipient of the Shen ultimate either. So that Mordekaiser play is going to be pretty important as we move later into the game.
Oh, beautiful flash by Cider Mill. Yeah, I've always said, and I'm sure it still just stands true to this day, that Mordekaiser has two roles to play when it comes to who he chooses for the ult. Wait a minute. Holgren getting really aggressive. Charizard is going to be here. We see Filiberto try to fly away, but it might not be enough. Standing United is going to be there. But Holgren, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. They're going to go forward. There's going to be the taunt onto one. Can he make it happen? No. But Filiberto, he is going to fall. That's going to be 1-for-1 at the moment. Charizard, it's just a moment. He actually does get the flash off, so he's going to be able to survive. We're going to see Flan get stunned up. Quite a bit of damage, but a 1-for-1. That's probably the best outcome you could have had.
Yeah, I agree. A 1-for-1, kills end up both going over onto the jungler, so I think that's favorable for PGO as well. Probably don't want those kills going onto the Corki, who does have a pretty strong ability to scale going into, you know, the later game. And the one thing that I would be a little bit concerned is I feel like Pantheon does have a little bit of a fall-off point. So the question for me is, will
TP
teleport?
Double teleport gonna come in. Nice use of the ultimate, but it's not gonna be enough. Holgren's in the middle. He is gonna fall in a second. He's still alive. The heal's keeping him up, but it's not gonna be enough. It's gonna be a 2-for-1. As you saw Huff die, weak side ADC should be the next one. He's trying to splash over the wall, but not gonna be there. Drip! Can he fall? I don't know what just happened. He got pulled in by the grass, but where was the slam? Flan, he's super loaded, but he gets out of life. Drip should have died. What happened to the slam?
Yeah, it looked like what it looked like to me is that.
Mitch. Wait. Never mind. I'm not going to question anything there. Never mind. Anyway, yeah, he had the animation go, but the Dust Grasp just, I don't know if it canceled out or what I missed, but yeah, that was weird.
It was just barely wide, but yeah, no, it did look a little bit odd, and you know, it looks like there Filiberto as well. He's just trying to play it pretty safe. Once Oddmitch is able to use that Zillion ultimate on himself, put it on his own head, and you know, doesn't want to die again on the Corki, so that makes sense. But what I do want to touch on is for Collective, the gold is in the pocket of Flan. He had a, you know, quietly in the last game, he had a good performance on Ziggs. I think it's kind of hard with the Ziggs pick just because it's hard to stand out because Ziggs, you know, he just kind of does his thing. He throws those bouncing bombs out there and clears those waves. Now Flan, he has his time to shine on the Jinx. This is a champion that obviously we know scales so incredibly well, and when she is able to pick up kills like this and be accelerated in the early game and get her items, it's definitely something you got to be scared of.
Filiberto getting jumped on by Holgren again. He does a lot of damage, but I mean, Corki does a lot of return damage.
Yeah, and that's what the Pantheon, obviously a lot of the damage is just burst, so if you're not able to finish off the Corki early on, it's hard to end up doing it later, as Corki is able to, you know, toss those rockets out and get the return damage, as you did say. But a lot of pressure going into this mid lane. They really want to keep Filiberto under the turret.
Yeah, Huff, he's trying to get as aggressive as possible. Crit, still fairly tanky. Yeah, with the Gatlin too on the Corki, lowering your defense and magic resistance. Is it? I think it's still both, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, it's still both. You know, as the longer you stand in and be in Pantheon, you're gonna be up close and personal the entire time. He doesn't necessarily have to deal damage to you. He just has to hit you for your, you know, resistances and defenses to go down. It definitely doesn't do Holgren any good, but it looks like they're gonna take this rift. No problem. Did still look like Charizard was trying to maybe pull someone out of the fight, but he's actually still gonna go forward. He has no support though.
He's just kind of standing around. To be honest, I would rather have Charizard be going somewhere else on the map, trying to make something else happen during that time, rather than just kind of being a spectator to this Rift Herald being getting dropped and picked up from collective effort. And the other big recipient of these kills has been Mikrityu now on the Shen, and it does really assist when it does assist against in the matchup against the Singed when the Shen is able to pick up this gold. Obviously, Shen thought of it as not necessarily the strongest laning pick, as he does go forward. And he has enough health to be able to survive.
Yeah, there's no reason for worry on that one.
Yeah,
I didn't really get into it. I was like, he's just gonna be able to walk out.
That's and so, but with the Shen being able to pick up some tank stats early on, it does mean that he'll easily be able to survive against this against this Singed. Both start with S. And that means that he'll be able to do what he really wants, which is use that, just take the side lane, clear out some of that farm, and then ultimately use the Stand United. And this lane assignment is a little bit interesting from a collective effort right now with Shen. He was in the mid lane. I do like that they swapped Flan and Cidermill into the top lane because, looked like it just looked like a little bit of a better option for them to be able to feed that big wave to the Jinx since Shen was already in mid. So that just shows to me some kind of good communication, funneling resources into the Jinx.
Yeah, Jinx is definitely going to be the main carry for this match. And, we don't typically think of many ADCs having, good AoE damage. But Jinx with the rockets, once you get that Runehouse Hurricane, will shred through this enemy front line. I mean, they don't have any real tanks outside of the, I guess, maybe the Singed. You see he has a Rylai's, though, so he's not going to be very tanky at all. But Drip, he's going to be stunned up twice, 3 times. He's still alive, though. Flash forward, Thane. He's going to come in. Ash Arrow. What just happened? All right, we got a freeze, but the Ash Arrow went through Drip and hit Philly on my screen. I don't know on anyone else's screen, but it went straight through Drip irrigation and hit Philly.
Yeah, and the fight continuing here. Just a really big brawl with PGO still staying relatively healthy here across the board. So both teams really going at it as they continue to go hard. Mikrityu now becomes the target. Whole Grain Man, will he be able to be dropped? Mikrityu now is ultimately going to pick up the kill. Now weak side ADC is going to get taken down by Flan, who is on a rampage. Mikrityu now, he dives over the wall. He's looking for the kill on Hearthstone. He's got the support from Philly Bearcho, and it is going to be Hearthstone on the Shen, ultimately falling. Oddmitch is the next one to go. Flashes away, but you're on the wrong side of the map, buddy. But ultimately, looks like collective effort is just going to let him go in favor of jumping onto this Infernal Drake. And that was a long fight, but in the end, collective effort comes out on top.
I don't know what's going on right now. Riot's not being nice to me. I don't know, what time are you at the moment? Wait a minute. On my screen, Philly is about to die. Wait, what is going on?
Do you see the ghost?
I'm completely glitched out.
Do the people look like ghosts on one side or something?
I don't know. I'm at 15, 10, 11, 12.
Okay. I'm a little bit ahead of you, so I'll pause for just a second. But yeah, we've seen some pretty consistent spectator delays. Again, thank you very much, Riot, for that. Not necessarily preferable.
Middle of the fight, when the fight started, like I said, the Ash Arrow. Wait, Charizard's gonna find Drip. He looks for the Death Grasp, but not gonna be able to pull him in. But like I said, all I saw was Ash Arrow go through Drip, hit Philly, and the game froze up, and that was it. I looked over at the stream, and the stream is still going, and I'm just like, oh no, I'm missing the entire fight. I'm just like, okay, it's over for me.
It's okay. Luckily, we have 2 play-by-play casters by trade on this stream, so I can just pick it up. But yeah.
Red buff still on my Charizard, but Drip's gonna go forward. He does have Critney now. He's looking to get in. We have, 4 members here from PGO. They're gonna look for the fight. He's just gonna be able to taunt over the wall. Drip. What is he gonna do? He doesn't have flash. He's just gonna try to fight it out. He's gonna be taken down. Whole Grain is able to get the kill. They wanted to fight at first, but I think once they saw more members coming, they just decided to bail. There's Ash Arrow coming in. It is gonna land. Nice stun. Staying Unite is going to be there. Huff not going to be able to get forward.
And it does continue to be, ultimately, you know, this is pretty nice. There have been some wins here lately for Predictive Gaming Oden, but the big winner out of all of it continues to be Flan. He's got 4 kills. Actually, the biggest winner continues to be Me Crit You now on the Shen. 5-0-5 he is so far in this game, participating in a 10 out of 11 kills, and that's pretty impressive too, Gaiken, when you see that from a top laner being able to participate in the majority of his team's kills even, but this time it's 10 out of 11, so just really shows the way that this Shen is able to get around the map and be this team player pick. Meanwhile, the Singed, I just have not been very impressed by. You know, obviously Hearthstone on like totally suiciding under the turret early on in the game, and then after that, it just doesn't really seem like he's been able to, you know, pick up his feet. He's, you know, he has gotten a CS lead for himself, but I don't really see at what point this Shen is gonna, or sorry, I keep messing it up. At what point this Singed is gonna become annoying for collective effort. Like, I just feel like the Soraka is going to be able to heal through the majority of the damage, and I also don't think that he'll ever have very much 1v1 pressure against the Shen.
Yeah, and Singed really, you know, he really shines when he's able to push that side lane by himself and pull 3-4 members of the enemy team to him. If he's not able to do that, you know, he's not much of a team fight presence. You know, it's like a Teemo. Teemo, while he's good in the 1v1, he has no real team fight presence. Like, even though he has the shrooms and stuff, when you know, you try to be like, all right, we need to have Teemo in the fight, like, what is he really going to do? But wait a minute, we got an ult coming to Holgren, he's looking for it, he's going to land on the one, Cider Mill, he's not going to get stun up, but he will by the Astro, and he should be the first one to fall. Grass is going to pull him back. Now Hearthstone's going to go in, he's looking for somebody. Cleanse was already used, and Flan just hitting all the keys in the world to stay alive. And they're going to be able to get the kill and secure themselves this Rift Herald.
And so once again, PGO, they stay in the game, even though they have this, you know, early game kind of deficit. It's really not that bad. They're only down, you know, 1.6k gold about. They're about to pick up this Rift Herald. But
wait a minute. Holgrain's on the backside. He's in a lot of trouble. Odd Mitch is going to be, he's going to look for one bomb. That's all he's going to get. Almost gets the kill on Dripping Irrigation, but he's going to force Holgrain to flash off of the wall. Holgrain, oh my gosh, one more big rocket would have killed him.
Absolutely, and two dragons still have been claimed. Similar to game 1, 2 dragons claimed already by collective effort. Now both teams probably going to take a recall, and I imagine shortly we are going to get another fight over this next dragon. 2 games in a row. It is going to be an Ocean Soul. Once again, is going to be very valuable for either of the teams should they be able to pick it up. And with it looks like we're getting all 5 members of both teams running down towards this dragon, getting ready to fight. Because of the side of the map, of course, the advantage in terms of the terrain is always going to go to collective effort on the red side. And it looks like they did have some vision set up before, but it is going to be destroyed. And looking to try to hand off this blue buff, but they're having a little bit of trouble with that.
EV is coming in from Crit You now. And in Trip Irrigation, he's just going in. He's looking for a weak side. He's going to force the flash out. And now the fight's going to continue. We're going to see Charizard in the middle of everyone. Trip Irrigation going super low. Crit You now, excuse me, isn't really doing much. He's able to get the taunt down. And Trip Irrigation is able to flash out and survive. We're going to see Stand United coming in. They're looking for a weak side AC. He is going to fall. Or excuse me, Flan is going to... No, yeah, weak side AC does fall in the end. And now Charizard is trying to get out, and the dragon is still up. Dripping Irrigation also fell, so that's a smite gone if they're going to try to get this dragon. PGO can steal this. They're trying to go in. There's nice taunt by Crit You now, but that's just going to get Hearthstone killed. And they're still looking for the fight forward. Holgren trying to get the backside. Philly Burns super low, but Flan is super low. It's still barely alive, though. There's going to be a bomb on the other one. The taunt, though, by Crit You now is able to kill the kill on Holgren. The slam's not going to be enough from Charizard. Crit You now is going to give himself a double kill. He's looking for Odd Mitch. Can they get this? Odd Mitch needs a taunt. The taunt is going to land. That's a triple kill. Going over to the tank Shen. Tanks don't do damage, guys. None.
Yeah, and I mean, I was kind of giving some crap over to the amount of kills that were on Me Crit You now on this Shen, but he is showing us that it is absolutely 100% worth it, picking up the triple kill. And honestly, he was doing a huge amount of occupying of the back line for PGO in that game, or in that fight rather. We know that when the Shen is able to get the taunt down, it is really obnoxious for some of these champions like Ashe. Also, similarly, for Huffzone on the Singed, because he, you know, as we touched on earlier, he's not going for a tanky build at all. Did start by picking up the Rylai's. If it has, now he has the Leeching Leer next, so it looks like just going for you know, a little bit more of that ability power sort of build. And it's the way that these fights are going to go every single time for Collective Effort is that if Collective Effort can peel back with the Jinx and the Corki, if they're able to, you know, survive that initial engage from Whole Grain Man, they're going to win the fight every time.
Huff in a little bit of trouble. He's going to just flip crit you now. You didn't see the rotation coming in from drip irrigation, but yeah, like you said, there's just I just don't see a win right now for PGO. Not in this current game. They are falling behind so much in these team fights, and like you said, crit you now. He did so well in that fight. He just stood in the middle waiting for. Basically, it looked like he wasn't even auto attacking. He was just waiting for his taunt to come back up.
Yeah, and you know, again, I have to spend a little bit more time even just kind of criticizing this Singed pick, because Camille was open once again, and as we see the trading there, Huffzone just losing out on that trade really hard with the Abyssal Mask picked up. Oh, we might see a fight though.
Yeah, they're looking for drip. He did get pulled by the grass, but not far enough. Huff's going in though. The speed boost is there. He's actually be turned on. He is going to fall once. Will he fall again? Staying United is going to come in onto drip irrigation. He's going to try to get crit you now. Early rocket coming in, but it's not going to have Charizard in the line. He's the only one in the front. He did actually take crit you now into the other side. Is it going to be enough to get a kill? No. There comes the mass heal, and that's going to be Charizard getting taken down. Way too ambitious by PGO.
Yeah,
I think they're getting desperate.
Yeah, I question Charizard also bringing the Shen into the Death Realm because, you know, yes, the Shen was really annoying. He has a lot of kills, being able to take out your backline, but I just don't think you ever really win that 1v1 as the Mordekaiser at this point, just because of the magic resist that the Shen has been able to pick up, how far accelerated this top laner has been, and I like I do want to say, I like the flexibility from Collective Effort in this second game. You know, game one, we saw kind of the hard carry from Filiberto. He's the MVP of the league, but in game two, you know, yes, this Corki has been involved in a lot of the team fights. I'm sure he's done his fair share of damage, but we see a lot of that burden being put onto the bot lane and Flaunt, into the top lane for me crit you now, and that's what strong teams are able to do, is they don't depend, they don't telegraph themselves on just one player being able to carry their team. They depend on everybody to step up when it's needed, and that makes it hard for a team like PGO to know where to focus their jungle attention, know where to focus their damage in the team fights, and there's just so many threats this game from Collective Effort. Even if you take down the Jinx, who is yet to fall, I think that is when Filiberto still is able to step up and have the amount of DPS that they would want to see him bring. If you're able to jump on both these AD carries, well, the Shen is just so tanky, and he's probably already taken out your backline alongside the Xin Zhao at this point, so the options do start to thin out pretty quickly for Predictive Gaming.
Yeah, I honestly do think Charizard had the right idea, and I think I meant to say this earlier, but a fight interrupted it. You know, when you play the Mordekaiser, you really have two options. You take someone out who you can easily kill, such as the ADC or, you know, mid laner or whatnot, or you take out someone who's a huge problem. If you can't kill them, you keep them out of the fight. Crit you now is a huge problem. So I think taking him out of the fight, if he thought the rest of his team was going to follow up, I think is the right idea. I believe it is, but it looks like the fight's going to happen again. Drip Irrigation did go forward, and that is going to be Charizard taken down once. Day Knight is going to be here to crit you now. He's able to get on to weak side. Weak side's going to fall. Filiberto, though, he's getting low. Charizard trying to do what he can to get in the backside. There's to the grass. Can he get one? He is able to get one. He's still alive. The leech is going to be not quite enough. But crit you now is looking for whole grain. It is a 2-for-1 at the moment. This is the best PGO has done in quite a while. 19 kills to 8. But yeah, I just don't really see what else they can do. If Huffzone was more tanky, you know, with having Charizard out of the fight completely with crit, you know, I think it would be really good, because then Huff could just absorb all the damage. But he dies too quickly right now for that to work. So, you know, Charizard has a very, very hard time of choosing the right target to take into the Death Realm.
Yeah, in Predictive Gaming, they know they need to contest for this soul, but they don't have their jungler. Charizard just came back up now, and Crit, just able to, zone them off.
Yeah, Huff is gonna fall. He threw Crit right into the middle of his team. What are you doing? Sorry, I'm sorry, but that was very questionable there. It looks like Fish. Flan, I saw Fish. Flan going forward, he was excited from the dragon kill. I remember when I first saw that, I couldn't believe that Jinx got excited from Dragon and Baron. I couldn't believe it. Like when I saw it, it blew me away. I just thought, why is that necessary?
Yeah, and with that soul, almost I would say quietly being picked up, just because there's not really able to be a huge contest there after that kind of flip gone wrong from Huff Zone. It's a soul, and one of the strengths of this Ocean Soul, as well as the Baron's just going to be easily taken down by collective effort, is that when you're doing this Baron and you have that Ocean Soul, you don't really take very much damage from it. This is something that I've noticed, is that when teams have picked that up, it allows you to start the Baron over and over again and turn off of it, or end up just finishing it with such ease, just because you just don't have to live in that fear. And now, you already called it earlier, Gaiken, but it just looks really, really hard. I don't really see the way back into this match for PGO, because collective, they've got the soul, now they pick up the Baron. It's just time for them to push lanes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they just group as 5 and just, barrel down mid if they want to. There's nothing stopping them. There's no real threat outside of maybe a very bad, grasp. But, I don't see anything that PGO could do. Even if they got, a really good, even if they got a really good pick, I don't think it would turn into a pick. You have the Stand United, you have the Wish, you have everything you need on your side if you're collective to stay alive in fights, even if you get picked off. So, I think right now it's just the question is, when is it going to end?
Yeah, and that's obviously the idea of this composition for collective effort coming into this game, picking up the Soraka and the Shen. I kind of called it out a little bit in the champion select as well, but just how it sets up this double 80 carry composition to be able to have the survivability that you want to have going into later game fights. I guess the part that makes it absolutely so annoying to deal with is the Shen that has gotten so fed. This is not something that you would generally expect. Generally, Shen is not someone who gains a lane advantage, but when he does, he's a force to be reckoned with.
10-0-9. And tanks don't do damage, guys. Just remember that. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, going into the Singe, you didn't think you would have this much of an advantage, right? Because Singe is one of those champions that plays really well, especially into aggressive champions such as the Shen, who's going to, taunt into you, because you just drop the poison and kind of walk away, flip them behind you, and as long as you're building, I guess if you were building tanky, you would be, primarily okay. But I think with that tower dive and getting himself killed, that was the big downfall. Cider Milk, look at that shield! The Stand United is going to be there. Is it going to be enough, though? He's looking for a taunt. Cider Milk's still alive, and my game froze again!
I agree, but don't worry, everyone's game froze this time, so it's okay. But holy, that shield was insane. Like, shield couldn't have all been from the Stand United, could it? Like, I really don't think so. But what else did it come from?
It's based off missing health, so yeah. But here we go, the fight's going to continue. Taunt did not land on the weak side ADC, but Odd Mitch, he actually had to ult himself. That is not what you want to do if you're the Zillion. Meanwhile, on the backside, we're going to see Holgrain trying to get the kill. He does get the kill on the one, but he is going to fall. Now Charizard, he is going to be another death. Meanwhile, Hubstone trying to run away. Weak side fell right then and there.
Yeah, it's a 3-for-1.
I guess
3-for-1 for collective effort.
Yeah, Holgrain must have jumped that backside or the back line or ulted in by himself, but he had Fawn, Philly, and Cider Mill just waiting for him in the back. Crit You now and I think Drip were the only two taking on basically a 2v4 at that point.
And that's obviously what you want to do if you're the Pantheon. You want to be able to dive into the backline and be that big threat towards Flan and towards Filiberto, playing these kind of vulnerable AD carry picks. But unfortunately, he's fallen behind to the point that he doesn't have the one shot on Pantheon. And especially when you're diving in 1v3, there's no way that this is going to turn out well for you. Even if he is able to pick up one of those AD carries, there's the other one to just kind of pick up the slack, and the fight just really isn't close. Cidermill does eventually fall, but he was jumped on by just about everything PGO had to begin with. He survived through that, and it's only after the second round of assault with Whole Grain Man jumping into the backline that he goes down. And still, Flan on the Jinx, 7-0-8, yet to fall. That's not something that we see a lot from Jinx, just because she is such a vulnerable champion. And there's two members, the Shen as well, two members of PGO, or I'm sorry, of Collective Effort that PGO has yet to kill. And for sure, I feel like at this point, Geik and the Shen, there's no way that they're going to be able to take him down.
Yeah, and I loved what Cider Mill did in that fight after, he got caught out. He just ran back to Jinx. He sat on Flan, and that's what you want to do. That's your purpose. He didn't try to stay in the front. He didn't try to do, any damage or anything. He just went straight to him. Now, again, they could have seen Whole Grain already coming in, and that's why he did it. But regardless, that was the perfect and the right move. And, you don't see that a whole lot on supports. If you're playing in a team, obviously team comp and solo queue are two different situations. But, I've played in a few teams, and you get those supports that even if they're on this, hyper support, such as like a Lulu or a Soraka, they still try to go forward.
Yeah, and I think that shows why Collective Effort was the first seed in this league. They are a team that really has their has everything together. They know how to play as a team, and Cidermill obviously having some communication with his AD carrier, with the rest of the squad, to know exactly what his job is, and he has done it well. Mikrina, on the other hand, maybe he didn't get the memo that he's just supposed to be that tank. Like you said, Gaiken, tanks, you're not supposed to do damage, but he has picked up 11 kills in this game. Maybe if you're Collective, you'd like some of those to be distributed to your Corki or your Jinx, but I don't think you're going to complain as long as you're just crushing the team fights like they are. And, if there's going to be one final fight probably in this game, it's going to be around this Elder Dragon, which will come up in 1 minute. If Collective Effort can secure this one, they're just going to be able to tear through the team fights. On the other hand, if you're PGO and you're able to get some kind of miraculous steal, we've seen teams be able to turn games around with the Elder, just because it gives you that execution potential on the other team. It gets you over the hump, so to speak, when you before would not be able to make things happen in the team fights just because you don't have enough damage. So a nice little camp set up here so far from PGO.
Yeah, they're looking for it. They're going to go for it. They're going to find Cider yet again. The Stand United, huge shield coming in. The fight's going to happen. Can they make anything? Flan on a rampage. The rocket comes in, doing all the damage. We're going to see Grain try to get in the backside, but it's not going to matter. Weak side is going to fall. Again, Oddmitch using the ultimate on himself. You want to chrono shift a teammate. Cider just running away all by himself. The TP is going to come in from Crit You now, as Whole Grain tried to get somebody on the backside, but his ult was just a little off. Definitely off center, but yeah, it's over.
Yeah, and that's going to be the game. And if you're PGO, why are you continuing to jump on Cidermill? Even if you think you can catch the Soraka out at the beginning, it's just not the most valuable member that you want to take out. I guess maybe you're thinking, that you're not going to be able to kill any other members of the team if you're not able to grab him, as we're going to get another lag here, which means that the game ended. There's this fun little bug, with that as well. But as we're here at the end of the game, it was just a beautiful Equinox by Cidermill to be able to root up multiple members of PGO after he got caught out, ends up being able to survive. And I would say that this second game was much more of a crush than game one.
Oh yeah, Collective Effort basically has PGO's number at this point. I don't think there was anything PGO could do. And going into potentially the last game, I don't want to say it is the last game. Potentially this last game of the night, they really need to rethink how they're going to play this game. Like you said, they typically prosper in these team fights, but they've been kind of just throwing them away, making really odd and questionable decisions with what they're trying to do, trying to get aggressive. They get desperate, and when the situations arise, you can't do that because sometimes it works, but more times than not, it doesn't. And then what ends up happening is you just spiral downward consistently. So going into
Yeah.
this last game, they may have to try some kind of secret comp. Maybe try to get Collective Gaming off guard somehow. Um, I don't know how many more champions you could ban, but obviously Aatrox seems to be the answer. Uh, I don't know if you have the chat enabled in game, but I like the little bit of banter that crit you now. I think he got a kill or two, and he's like, ban my Aatrox again or something. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I like the little bit of banter going
PGO,
on.
don't give in to the man. Ban it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I really would like to see going into this next game for PGO to do a little bit of change up in their draft. They played this kind of, tricky draft here in game two. It just didn't work. Even if you don't have some kind of secret comp, to pull out, just go back to the basics. I mean, yes, they lost game one as well, but at least it was a little bit closer. And, I would like to see them kind of run back a composition closer to that again, rather than what they did here, because it just didn't work. The Singed in particular, get that out of here. I mean, that was just not impressive from Huffzone. And he's someone who does do really well on a variety of other picks, including the Mordekaiser, which they did draft. So I would like to see them change it up a little bit going into the next game. But we're going to take a little bit of a break before then. Game 3 will be coming up when we return. PGO, collective effort. Who's going to go to the finals to face Lost Chapter? Not long till we find out. All right, here we are for game three of Collective Effort versus PGO, potentially the last game in this series as Collective Effort has a 2-0 lead so far. Will PGO be able to claw themselves back into this series as we see some similar bans from game one and two, with the Echo being banned away from Philly Berto? They're not going to let him get his hands on that champion. Now that Collective Effort is back onto the blue side, I'm curious to see kind of how the draft will go. Collective Effort, they ran the Aurelia in game one, they ran the Corki in game two, and both things worked out really well for Philly B. So we'll see if he tries to go for a three unique champions in this series.
Yeah, I want to see the Aatrox ban. Stick it to crit. Ban the Aatrox. Do it. Do it. That's all
Yeah,
I
we'll
care about right
see.
now. Just ban the
Yeah,
Aatrox.
I'm curious. Obviously, there's a little bit of discussion
What's
going
up?
on here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Huff Zone saying, being in there
Oh,
saying, "Oh yeah,
no.
I can take on the Aatrox. No worries about that. We're not going to waste a ban." Instead, it's going to be the Ziggs. But honestly, as Collective Effort looks like they're starting to run back their draft from game one. But honestly, I think that like the Ziggs, it wasn't like the biggest of impact champions. Sure, it did really well, but Ziggs just kind of does his job. Um, and there was a top gap in this last game. I mean, obviously a big part of it was that it was that early death from Singe just getting taunted under turret. I'm sure Huffzone, if he could take that one back, he probably thinks he wins the lane. But maybe he has something ready against the Aatrox, I suppose.
If they pick it up, I mean, yeah, it's still on the board. Moon was going to be the first one picked up. Jarvan, we are going to see, so we'll have to see if PGO is going to be able to use the aggressiveness to their advantage. Hopefully they pick lanes that are gankable, and Jin is going to be locked in for the bot side. So we're looking at a ganking recipe for bot side at least, but you have to imagine Amumu is definitely going support.
Yeah, I think they're going to run back that Amumu
There
support,
it
and it
is.
looks like Collective Effort. They want to bring the Aatrox. It's kind of a dare here from PGO, saying, hey, pick up your Aatrox. We don't even care. We know that we have a counter to it. We know that we'll able to beat you down. Me crit you now. He's up to the challenge, picking it up. But Charizard
Whoops.
on the Jarvan this time. You already mentioned Gaiken, how he's a really strong ganking jungler, and Charizard, his most played is Jarvan, so he's no stranger to this champion. But the Jin priority is a little bit interesting for me for PGO. Not sure if they're just waiting to try to get as many counter picks as possible. And with nothing else up that they want to take, but now Tryndamere has been locked in.
Oh man, I love it. Come on, PGO, give me some more picks like this. I love it. You know what? This is
So
a Jarvan support. I don't want to hear anyone disagree with that.
So Tryndamere has right now, it's actually been really popular in the mid lane, Flash Ghost Tryndamere. But what I also know is that Huffzone, he has lauded himself as a one trick Tryndamere at many points in his solo queue career. So I think this one's going up to the top lane, and that doesn't surprise me now that they left open the Aatrox. If he thinks he can win this 1v1 matchup, Tryndamere against Aatrox, I'm sure he has a lot of experience with it. I don't feel like we've seen Tryndamere from Huffzone throughout this entire league, even though I know, again, he has said, I've heard him say that, it's one of his strongest champions. So really excited to see him pick up the Tryndamere in these final moments when everything's on the line. You go back to the champion that the very best. And PGO hovering the Braum right here, I would really like that pickup against the Misfortune, just because the stand behind me does such a good job of blocking the bullet time. And it also saves the counter pick for whole Grain Man, and we'll see what Philly Berto decides to go with in game three.
Yeah, the Braum also helps again with this bot lane gank. We should see Charizard go bot quite often. You'll be able to stand behind Braum, or Braum will be able to, jump to him and just, put that concussive blow stack on. They should be able to get quick and easy kills. Again, Misfortune, while she does have a slow, I say fairly immobile because she does have a speed boost, and obviously Amumu is still an immobile champion. But Trundle going to be picked up. Xerath looking to be locked in. Interesting. Nope, wait, Akali. That seems more like that definitely seems more like Philly than the Xerath. But I mean, PGO is going for the all in. They're definitely going all in on this one. I can't wait to see what their final pick is going to be.
Yeah, and so with the Akali for Filiberto, I was just checking out his op.gg, and his most recent games, I believe, or a couple of his most recent games were on this Akali. So excited to see him pick that one up. Akali is a champion that has a lot of agency, obviously. Kind of, it's a highlight reel of a champion, but definitely is one that has gotten a lot of nerfs throughout the season. Did get some slight buffs in the last patch, but I know a lot of players still feel like Akali has such high energy expenditure. And the Galio picked up last. I do like this
Yes.
for two reasons. First, it pairs up really well with the Jarvan, having that wombo combo of the Cataclysm into the hero's entrance with the Galio, just locking people in for that knockup. But also, Galio obviously matches up well against these AP sort of assassin threats. He gets the extra magic damage shield from his W. So, some intelligent drafting here from PGO. I also think with the Tryndamere bringing so much aggression in the top lane, you didn't necessarily need the most insane damage threat coming from the mid lane. And with this draft, I do feel a little bit more confident in PGO. I like what they put together here. It's a really straightforward composition. It's something that goes really well against the Misfortune too, just because Jarvan can trap the immobile AD carries into the Cataclysm, and only Flash will be able to get Flan out.
Yeah, I love the Galio pick. Again, with the Cataclysm, you have the Glacial Fissure to follow up on it. The Curtain Call right behind it. Like, I love this. Like, they have this is the Wombo combo that we've seen come out of Collective in the first game, or not Collective, PGO in the first game. You had, the Camille with the Malphite as well as the Morgana. So I'm glad to see they're kind of going back to that sort of team fight style. Again, Tryndamere not really a team fight champion, but he definitely works really well in the 1v1. He should be able to play well into Aatrox. Obviously, once he gets level 6, he has that safety of just hitting the R and getting out if he is losing the team fight or the 1v1 or 2v1.
Yeah,
And then
and
if he gets on Misfortune, I would like to think he's going crit. Most Tryndameres do. So he'll be able to two-shot Flan. You have no stand behind. You have no stand united. You have no wish, no healing from a Soraka, nothing.
yeah, and one thing that I want to point out just for the viewers is it right now it would appear that there's Galio jungle, but actually it looks like whole Grain Man and Charizard are in the wrong spots. So it will likely be, well, almost 100%. It's going to be this Jarvan going into the jungle, but just a little bit of a confusion there. So I wanted to clear that one up. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how these two team comps match up. I do feel like one thing I've said this throughout the season, but with these wombo combos, something that you have to be a little bit aware of is your damage really starts to fall short between the Galio and the Jarvan specifically after you dump both of those ultimates down. So if Flan and if Filiberto are able to survive through that initial burst of damage, that gives you a lot more options moving through later into the team fights to be able to kite back and just kind of come back there. So just to give a little bit of credit over to the other side, also obviously with Philly B on this Akali, it's a champion that has a lot of outplay potential, and if there's someone that you trust to outplay, it's going to be your MVP of the league. So excited to see what he can do into this Galio, and we are going to take a short break, but when we're done, we're going to be back onto the Rift for potentially the last game of the CCS semifinals. Collective effort trying to punch their ticket to a date with Lost Chapter on Thursday. We'll see if they can do it when we come back. All right, we are here. We are back for potentially, again, the last game of this semifinals between Collective Effort and Predictive Gaming. Oden, this time we got Collective Effort back onto that blue side, and we have Me Crit You now on his signature Aatrox pick against TTB Huffzone on his signature pick of the Tryndamere. So I'm super excited to see this matchup. 5-point defense from both teams as they don't want to see any shenanigans early on in this game. Not trying to put themselves at a disadvantage before they absolutely have to.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen in the top lane, especially because I guess Aatrox is Crit You Now's signature champion. And it's never a good idea to give somebody their signature champion. Ever. It doesn't matter what elo you're in. So I'm really curious to see if this Tryndamere is going to be enough to kind of counter it. Are they going to be able to make the plays happen? Can PGO win this one and keep the series alive? You know, as spectators, we all want to go to the final game. As the players, though, we want to end. Well, I guess PGO has to go to the final game, but as the players, you want to end it as quickly as possible. So we'll
absolutely.
Curious to see what happens. Yep. They have wobble combo, so we'll see if they're able to put it to use. And with weak side being on the Jhin and that curtain call having such a big range, Odd Mitch doesn't have to be quite as protective as long as they have, they have accountability of all the enemy champions.
Yeah, and we see a little bit of early trading here in this mid lane, kind of seeing how it's pretty even. That's the reason why Whole Grain Man did decide to take on this pick of the Galio. And yeah, I mean, I'm honestly, if I could just watch one lane, it would just be the top lane, just because both of these players are extremely competitive. We want to see what both of them can do, but we haven't really touched on this bot lane matchup very much. Obviously, both of these ADCs are immobile, and with a couple of tank supports that do have a pretty strong ability to engage, there is definitely a good chance that we could see some strong aggression, possibly even some kills early on in the bot lane. But with junglers pathing towards opposite sides, wouldn't be, Drip Irrigation, he might pay a visit to this bot lane with the good gank setup that is provided by Cider Melon and Moo.
Trouble taking a tower shot. 2 tower shots, actually, trying to make the cheeky combo play with the Galio.
Yeah, and as I'm just talking away, Filiberto already showing his mastery of this Akali in the mid lane. Whole Grain Man picked what he did so that he would be able to stay safe, but not able to do so. But he wants more.
He's going to see the flash from Philly, but there's the pillar, and Whole Grain's going to be taken down. He got real aggressive. Charizard trying to make something happen, but he's going to fall. Double kill going to Dream. And I think the game is already over. The tilt is there. Oh my gosh. I don't even think Filiberto got a lot of help from Whole Grain, though. He took 2 whole shots on that in that first combo.
Yeah, that's just so over-aggressive and just so greedy if you're Whole Grain Man. It's one thing to give up 1 solo kill early into the game. It's an entire another thing to give up a 2nd solo kill after you've expended your teleport to get back into the lane. Philly B hasn't even used his yet. Whole Grain Man looking to do it again, but not able to do so. And also Charizard, he took a turret shot as well. Not sure what even happened. He just got stuck under the turret. And so not only is Philly B already accelerated, but so is Drip Irrigation with this Trund be able to use the gold in order to pick up some more items and have the tempo advantage between these 2 junglers, and it's just all looking bad already for PGO.
Yeah, I saw that 1 turret shot hit Charizard, and it took like 3/4 of his health because it was like the 3rd or 4th shot already from the turret. And I understand the play. Maybe they didn't realize that Drip Irrigation was there, and they're just trying to get the quick turnaround kill onto Philly. But it was a huge downfall. But look, Cider, he's in the mid lane. He might look for Whole Grain, try to put this Galio even farther behind. The patience. Bandage toss. Not in range. She's just going to walk back to bot.
And look at that, good guy support just trying to be there for his mid laner. Look at that level difference with Filiberto already at level 5, almost hitting level 6 already here. Amumu still sitting at level 2. But even in game 1, Cider Mill displayed a lot of really nice roaming with the Amumu pick. He was the one who, started off some of these fights for Collective Effort right at the beginning of the series. So I like that, again, it just shows a lot of communication from Collective Effort. That's a really high level thing to be able to do as a plat team.
Yeah, and that's the thing about certain supports like Amumu or Zac and Leona and stuff. Like, you don't need levels to be effective. 1 or 2 levels of the game, maybe 1 or 2 abilities, depending on what your champion is. Wait a minute. Hit you now might be in a little bit of trouble. Meanwhile, we got a fight in the mid lane. Charizard's just going to flag and drag away. Top side, though, both Huff and Crit are super low. Uh-oh. It looks like Huff might die, but in the bot lane, we have a fight. Heal is going to come out weak side, trying to get away, but he's going to get hit by the concussive blows. There's going to be another heal blown by Flan. Kid Cider Mill. Oh, the flash is going to be forced by Odd as he almost gets taken down, and that's gonna be no kills in top or bot.
Yeah, but both really, really close. Lots of people going to go extremely low with lots of members of PGO going into that jungle just to make sure that the...
Oh, man, they get a nice gift of root onto Cider Mill, and he is not dead! The flash over the wall isn't gonna be enough. Here comes the Grand Entrance. There's gonna be 1 kill, but they're gonna keep going forward. They're gonna look for Flan. They might have to just get Drip Irrigation. Looks like Holgrain's in a lot of trouble. Doesn't have the taunt. That's gonna be a double kill going over to Drip Irrigation. And weak side, can he get out of here? He does have flash. Oh, does not flash. Why was he holding it?
I think he was holding it because Akali had her had her marker on him, and then by the time that she came back over, Akali probably easily would have been able to just queue over the wall. As Huffstone still hasn't hit level 6, which is kind of that mark you want to get to on Tryndamere to be able to stay safe. But 4-0-1 from Drip Irrigation, just absolutely smurfing on this game, just creating a huge lead for himself already over Charizard. Has been able to pick up the dragon, and the dragons have been a bit of a terror in every single one for Predictive Gaming Oden. They've just struggled to get that early lead, and it always kind of allows you to have that extra win condition.
Holgrain, a lot of trouble, does dodge a bandage toss. Holgrain, he's trying to get out of this live. Drip, super low, 1 minion. Oh, it's not gonna be enough. Holgrain, though, what a beautiful dodge. Hey, it's not going to be an Ocean Soul this time, so he might get an Infernal.
Yeah, that's true. No more Ocean Soul. Ocean Soul 2 games in a row. Conspiracy confirmed from Riot, but maybe not actually because of the fact that this one will not be that. So this is just really demoralizing, honestly, for Predictive Gaming Oden. If you're in this situation, you got to reset your mindset before you go into a third game like this where you've already lost 2. And if there's anything that can ruin it, it's this kind of start where you just go so far down. Both of the other 2 games, honestly, had pretty quiet early games. Unfortunately, this time it is not going to be the same situation, as it will be a big early lead already at about 2K, which for this point in the game, that's a really big lead. And it is primarily it looks like when you flip over kind of to the gold, it is primarily sitting in the jungle with about a 1,300 gold lead for Drip Irrigation. But Drip Irrigation has played really well in the first 2 games, and I'm sure he'll be able to translate that to his team. Oh
yeah, he's definitely been the one jungler to be around the map where his team needs him to be. When he played Trundle the first game, Xin Zhao in the second, and Trundle has both great proactive and reactive ganking potential. As you saw, he was in the mid lane exactly when he needed to be to help Filiberto when Holgrain died and TP'd in right afterwards with the help of Charizard trying to get that return kill. And he's just been everywhere on the map. He's been everywhere he needs to be, and he continues and probably will continue to do that for his team. And as long as his team plays around that, I don't think they have any reason to worry about losing this. I do feel like if he gets a little too overconfident, that's when things can turn around. And also, now that we see everyone on the side of PGO is level 6, maybe we'll start seeing some of that combo potential come out.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about in the draft. That is the point where PGO starts to get really scary, is when they can have those multiple ultimates to drop on top of one another. So I would really like to see Charizard and Whole Grain Man try to combine for some kind of big play, potentially down toward the bot lane. Obviously, as Juan goes pretty low.
I would have curtain called. Actually, they could actually engage Flan, no mana at all. I mean, Insider's not even level 6. I'm surprised they didn't continue that engage. They could have used the Glacial Fissure and then, if needed, just curtain call.
Yeah, I think potentially they could be a little bit afraid of where Drip Irrigation is, but they did back off pretty hard. As you know, meanwhile, the Rift Herald was picked up by PGO, so I like that it went to Huff Zone. I feel like something that's really critical with Tryndamere is being able to have that long lane. Philly B getting aggressive, but ultimately not going to be able to pick anything up. But once that long lane has been established from the Tryndamere, he gets a lot more dangerous.
Yep, now we see the pillar drop. That's going to be suffocation. Nice use of the Glacial Fissure, but here comes the Grand Entrance. 3-man knockup, but it's not going to be enough. Curtain calls there. Nice Cataclysm, blocks him in. Charizard is going to be taken down, though, and you're just too far behind. Filiberto, he's going to go, and he's going to give himself another kill. Weak side. Can he make something happen? Flash forward from Philly, and that's going to be another kill, but Hump, he's on the backside. He gets himself a kill. That's a quadruple. Give him the Penta. Give him the Penta. The ultimate's there. Philly's just going to die. He does. That's going to be a huge shutdown. Huff still alive. Can he get out alive? No, he actually ulted quite early, I think.
Yeah, and it's sad that there's no Penta, but even so, with the Huffstone does get the big shutdown, which is absolutely, great for him, but at the same time, it's already a quadra kill over to Filiberto on his mid lane Akali, second quadra kill that he was able to pick up throughout, or no, I think he picked up a triple maybe in the other one, so I messed that one up, but has been able to pick up lots of multi-kills throughout this series and has been able to carry his team, showing mastery on 3 different champions. And if you are collective, or Lost Chapter rather, take notes, because you better be afraid of Filiberto in that finals. Should they get there, obviously it's not completely over, but not looking promising at all right now from PGO, as there's another dragon up, which means that probably we're going to see another fight right away, because collective ever wants to get their hands on that one.
Yeah, and Huff is topside, no TP. He's just going to try to push. The pings are coming out from collective, so they have no reason to worry, and it looks like it's just going to be a free ocean.
Yeah, they definitely want to give themselves more time to pick up some gold before they do something like contest that dragon, because there's no reason to just lose a fight for free. Again, this is elimination time potentially for Predictive Gaming Oden. They have such a low margin of error here, and they've already fallen so far behind.
There's gonna be a knockup. Looking for more. The Cataclysm is available. Oh, nice way of getting out. Did I just see something interesting? We'll have to go back to that Charizard, though. He is gonna fall. Filiberto able to get basically the 1v2. Is Akali able to hit the wall and jump back to that now?
Yeah, wherever
missed a long time ago.
Wherever her, it's not even just the wall, wherever her little flag drops when she does the dash, she can go back to it, even if it's just in the middle of the lane or whatever.
What?
That's something that she's able to do. Yep.
Now, again, we gotta remember, I haven't really paid attention or played League in quite a, some weeks now, but that just seems absurd.
Yeah, and the thing about Akali is it looks really good when you have someone who really knows how to play Akali doing it. If you see someone like me playing Akali, I'm just going to be constantly running out of energy, because that is the big thing. You have to space your abilities really, really well, because otherwise that yellow bar at the bottom will just go down to 0, and you will find yourself hitting your buttons and not getting anything off. But Philly B, at this point, he's 1v2ing Whole Grain Man. He's got to be so careful when he's sitting there in lane by himself. Really just has to sit back and wave clear, because as we saw, when he goes forward, it just takes a moment, and he's just totally melted by this Akali.
Yeah, that is absurd. I don't, perfectly balanced game, right? Has give champions who have dashes more dashes. Perfect. That's what we need. Yeah. Either way, Whole Grain, he's in a lot. He can't really fight this Akali anymore, and that's one of the things that Galio's typically are able to do against these AP champions is they're able to trade. They're able to fight really well, you know, because if they try to go in, they just hold them in place with the taunt. But wait a minute, we got what was about to be a nice dive. Good use of the TP. Double TP, actually, but we're going to see them go over. Nice. Bandage toss coming out of Cider Mill. He's able to get a hold on Charizard. Now Charizard is going to be the first to fall. Filiberto with the kill.
And I don't know if the double TP was necessary. I was going to say right away that I liked the TP in response. That, again, just showcasing some really good communication from Collective Effort, because otherwise, Flan, he is just in so much trouble there as the immobile MF under the turret, but probably didn't need to expend both of them, as we do see that on the top lane, Huffzone has got a pretty nice, you know, push going on. He should be pretty close to getting through that turret. Looks like he actually has just gotten about, you know, almost a third of it down, but the more you give space for this Tryndamere to push in the top lane, the more he is able to take an advantage and ultimately become pretty scary for the Aatrox to go against. But all in all, it is a 1-for-0 for Collective Effort, so you can't really criticize him that much. And Filiberto just continuing to become such a menace on this Akali. The Jhin is never going to be safe, especially just as the squishiest member of Predictive Gaming, Oden, so really going to have to just fear this Akali for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and going to Tryndamere, this is what he wants. He wants space to push. You know, Tryndamere is, again, another champion that doesn't really do great in team fights. He doesn't have a huge team fight presence, while diving the backline or diving the ADC is very easy for him. You know, he really excels by, again, you push the lanes, he's quick at pushing, you know, his damage is not very low at all. And you pull 2-3 members to kill him, because he typically can 1v1 most people, especially because of his ultimate. You know, he gets real close to who's going to die, and he just pops the ult, and you're the one to die, for sure. And you can't get away from him very easily, but he gets 3-man chicken on everybody. There's going to be the bullet time. He's still alive. Nice knockup. We see the Grand Entrance. A little out of place, though. He should have put on Charizard, and Charizard is going to fall to Cider Mill, excuse me.
And now they have this mid lane turret already really low. They should be able to keep going.
Missed. They used the Glacial Fissure to make something happen, but Puff can't really do anything. Now, Cricky now is going to fall to the tower, or is he? Super low. He does fall eventually. We're going to see Filiberto falling back. Flashing forward. They're looking for more. Doesn't get the Justice Punch, but here we go. Puff is going to go in. He is going to fall flash for flash.
Huffzone, he didn't have his ultimate available, so just really aggressive. I guess for Tryndamere, you're just always kind of happy to trade forward to get a kill so that you can continue to snowball your build, because Tryndamere really wanting to get kind of like to that 3-item mark before he becomes truly a monster in the side lane. But the side effect of all of this is that, you know, with Huffzone going down, it leaves the dragon.
Oh, wait a minute. They actually had more members with them than I thought. Now we're going to see the fight happen. Flan is going to fall, and now they're going to look for Cider Mill. Dragon did go over to Collective still, so that was pretty much what they wanted. But now they're just trying to get a little bit of gold in their pocket.
Cider Mill bouncing himself to his death. Looks like he probably just wants to get out of that fountain sooner rather than later. So does end up going down. But, you know, again, 3 dragons for Collective Effort. That means that in just a few minutes, just 4.5 minutes, they are going to have the chance to have that Infernal Soul, which is obviously a very big deal for their team. And I you know, if you're Predictive Gaming, I just would have wanted to see them fix this dragon issue in at least one of the games, finally recognizing, like, guys, they're putting a lot of emphasis on picking up these dragons early. It gives them this extra win condition, and it just seems like all series long, Predictive Gaming had been drawn to this dragon pit for these fights that they're forced to take over and over and over again because of the soul points that have been there for Collective Effort.
Yeah. Dragon priority is definitely a must in the League of Legends of today, just because of how much resourcefulness, not really resourcefulness, but how useful every single point of Dragon is. Max percentage HP regen, percentage attack damage and ability power, percentage armor and magic. It doesn't even matter which one you get, they all work for you. It's just free stats that you would get nowhere else. And it seems like a lot of players sometimes don't quite recognize just how important that little bit of stats are. especially when it comes down to like a nail-biting team fight. That extra 4%, and almost in a lot of ways could be 8% if you look, depending on how you look at it. 4 plus 4% for you, minus 8% for them, or 4% for them because they didn't get it. Really makes the difference. So maybe in future seasons to come, we'll see Predictive Gaming actually prioritize these things. But as of now, it's not happening, and it's definitely costing.
No, not looking. It's not looking good. And as another turret falls, it is, you know, it could be a bigger gold lead, I suppose, than, you know, especially given what happened early in the game. It is going to be just about a 2.5K gold lead, but collective effort makes it feel like it's a lot higher than that.
Yeah, weak side does use the Gale Force to get out alive, but we got rotations coming in from both sides. Philly just trying to bait the rest of PGO in to his team. Fairly good at that too.
Lots of people chasing Philly, but not able to make anything happen. And now I think if you are collective effort, you're probably okay with taking kind of this nullified game state for a little bit longer, just 2 more minutes until that dragon does spawn. And then you kind of have this guaranteed this fight again, where you know if you're collective, you don't have to fight over that dragon. You know, it's fine to give 1 stack over to Predictive Gaming. But if you're Predictive Gaming, on the other hand, you absolutely do have to fight over the dragon. And so that gives collective a lot of flexibility in terms of being able to set up vision early, as we already see Drip Irrigation deleting some of the wards from Predictive Gaming and setting that up. So I like that they know when they can be aggressive and kind of push that lead, and when they can just kind of step back, as Charizard's over here on the top side clearing out some wards as well. But I'm not really sure why you would be spending that time on the top side if you're the jungler from PGO, just because the fight's going to happen here in bot, and it's going to happen sooner than you think.
Yeah. We see Huff getting aggressive. Maybe trying to make something happen. Cider's coming from the river. Going to be taunted up. There's going to be Ghost used by Huff. Cider, he can be taken down. There's going to be Curse thrown out. We're going to see the Bulltime come in, but it looks like Huffstone, he's going to be indestructible. Nice curtain call. Gets the kill into 1. This could be a fight for PGO. That's a double kill now. Cataclysm on the backside. Vlad actually fell. This could be a 5v2 at the moment. Can Filiberto make the plays happen? We are on the call. You're going to be used for Zonians. There's going to be Huff being taken down, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Weak side able to secure that kill. Flash is going to come out from Drip. And this is the fight PGO wanted and PGO needed.
A 4 for 1, all off the back of Huff Zone knowing the exact right moment to go forward on this Tryndamere. Eventually he does fall, but the damage has already been done. He's able to take Aatrox, really low. The rest of the team able to finish it off, and with the dragon spawning in 7 seconds, there you go for Predictive Gaming. They're able to stop the stacking.
TP's coming in though. They're trying to make the plays happen. Drip can still steal this. He's gonna go forward. Odd Mitch is gonna get hit. Cider is making his way through. He's gonna try to banish us forward. We're gonna see Nice using the taunt. Isn't gonna be enough to kill them than the dragon though. There's gonna be the Glacial Fisher, but he's gonna flash forward. Charizard's gonna smite it. He's gonna be able to take it at least. We're gonna see Odd Mitch flash out. Charizard's gonna flash. Weak side's gonna flash, but we're gonna see 2 taken down. Can Weak side get away? He is Jin and he is quick. So they get themselves the dragon. Do not give over Soul right away, and they only lose 2 members.
And I think that right now, collective, they're going to run over to the Baron at this moment, because Charizard is still down for 20 seconds. Even if you're not intending to finish this Baron, you can draw the rest of Predictive Gaming over to it, and we are going to see Drip Irrigation take out the ward and start it right up.
No reason not to. Charizard's taken down at the moment. Oh, Huff. He's looking for Filiberto. Going to get hit by the, bandage toss. Stab Moment's Curse is going to be used. Huff, his time's run out. He is going to fall. Damage. He does a lot of damage, but good use of the CC by Cider to keep him at bay.
Yeah, I like the way that Cider Mill, you know, recognized the need to CC the Tryndamere and just kind of layer his bandage tosses such that there's really very little value from the ult zone. And the other thing that's really strong about having Filiberto and Cidermill on the other side of the wall here is they're zoning off the rest of the team as well from Predictive Gaming Oden. There's no way that any of them can get into the pit to try to contest that Baron, and therefore the Baron does go over to Collective Effort. They picked up, I believe that's their third Baron throughout this series. I think they picked up one in every single game, so just really strong objective control from these teams, and we'll see what they're able to do with the power play if they can pick up a couple more turrets and extend their gold lead.
Yeah, you saw the pings coming into the jungle. They're trying to get super aggressive as you see the two-man invasion. Holgrain able to secure his blue buff, though. But they're going to need another team fight like the last they had. Oh, Drip! Oh, Drip! You're in so much trouble. There's going to be the bullet time coming in, but is it going to be enough? No, he is going to be taken down. Crit you now is coming over. Odd Mitch used to be the target, but the Grand Entrance is going to be there. Going to hit two! Filiberto, he needs to be taken down. Bullet time is gone, so they have no worry of that. And Drip, I don't know if he did it himself or what, but
yeah,
he jumped into the wrong spot.
Yeah, it looked like it was Drip Irrigation who hit the blast cone himself, and that's just a really greedy move, or just, you know, obviously not having the vision, or he was just insanely overconfident. I really don't like that from the Trundle going over. Yes, Trundle's fairly tanky, but not that tanky.
Could have been a misclick, maybe. I mean, one of those things where he's, you know, prepping to do so, and this one before, but Justice Punch is going to be there, gets the taunt, there's going to be constant blows, and that should be Cider taking down. Bear knock up, there's the Cataclysm, Philly's going to be able to get out, but Huffstone, he's in the fight, and that's going to be another kill. Oh, this Tryndamere looking to be the right pick. And Collective, they're kind of falling apart a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, the gold lead's still on the side of Collective, but they're not looking like the team that's necessarily ahead in these team fights. Now, granted, they didn't have, you know, they didn't have their jungler there. It wasn't a true 5v5, but just kind of getting caught with their pants down a little bit, to be honest, and finally Charizard being able to use the strength of this Jarvan in the way it should be able to team fight to his advantage. And when they can do that, then these fights get a lot closer. But I would look for Collective Effort to try to, you know, group together. Once they can get a true 5v5, maybe it looks a little bit better. Crucially, also, a couple of fights ago there when Drip Irrigation, you know, bounced himself into the PGO team, but we saw the strength that Odd Mitch on the Braum can have, specifically against Flan's Misfortune, because Misfortune dropped that bullet time, and almost the entirety of it ended up getting eaten up by this Braum shield. So if they can continue to do things like that to nullify some of the champions from Collective Effort, you know, PGO, they're not completely dead in this. They are in the game, and you know, once again, we've talked about it all series long, but in about 1 minute this dragon spawns, we're gonna see another fight then.
Yep, both teams making their way down. Charizard getting a little bit extra gold before it happens. You got 45 seconds. This could be the deciding factor of the game. This could either keep it in Collective's favor, or this could be the turning point that brings PGO on the board. Holgrain using taunt and the Justice Punch. He's just waiting for his in with the Grand Entrance. They're going to get a root, and that's going to be Drip Irrigation. No subjugation used yet, but Holgrain, he's on the backside. He's looking for Flan. He's going to have to use his Zonias. He might be in trouble. He's going to flash forward, get some mid taunt. There's a curtain call going to be used, but Holgrain completely out of position. Gets taken down. Samum's Curse is going to be there. And it looks like Huff is trying to do what he can. Drip Irrigation, he's going to be taken down. Or will he? Huff so low. He's able to get the kill on the one. And now Drip. Oh, he gets just eaten alive. Filiberto on the backside looking for Odd Mitch after weak side was taken out. And I have to think that was all Holgrain's fault. He was way too deep by himself.
Yeah, Holgrain, man, just looking to try to get that pick, but that's not what this Galio is for. I mean, maybe he was thinking about last game where he's playing the Pantheon that definitely can, you know, do the burst to just take out Flan or any, you know, 80 carry champions, but instead, he's playing Galio this game. He should be looking for his jungler to take the engage so he can use the ult on top of him. Does drop the ult at the very end to try to get away, but it's too late. He falls, Drip Irrigation, able to pick up the dragon, and it is an Infernal Soul, as if Collective Effort didn't need more damage, they have it here. And Filiberto again in that fight, just playing it really beautifully on the Akali, getting another kill with an execute there, able to, you know, keep himself alive throughout the fight as well. And now with the soul picked up, these team fights are even harder. But the one thing that PGO has going for them is Huff Zone on this Tryndamere. Tryndamere still 5-5, but as I said earlier, he's pretty happy to be able to trade kills for deaths, as Filiberto.
He might be in trouble. Some custom blows are there, but the rest of the team's gonna come. We're gonna see the Glacial Fissure happen. Odd just flashing over the wall instantly, and it looks like Filiberto super low. There's the bullet time gonna come in. Weak side is gonna fall. Actually, Filiberto's still alive, and Whole Grain is gonna be the next one. They almost get the kill, but there's the rotations coming in. TP was used by Crit You Now.
Yeah, and with Huff Zone, as I had spoken about, him still split pushing in the bot lane. I think you're fine with that if you're collective effort. You just want to push up this mid, get this mid inner turret, and they did send Philly B back to deal with them. Not sure how this Akali should fare with the Tryndamere in the side lane. Obviously, if the Tryndamere can survive through the initial burst of the Akali, it's going to be pretty tricky for them. But instead, Huff Zone looks like he might be going for the long flank towards collective effort, but collective effort, they know better. They're just going to dive out of there, and the Baron is now up, so there is another objective to fight for yet again for these teams.
He's still going. He's really going for it. The TP's coming in from Whole Grain. Who's going to get the initiation? There's going to be a stun on the Huff Zone. He's going to go to the backside. Oh, my God. If he didn't have the ult, he would have been taken out with the Granite. It's just going to be there. That's going to be one down. Nice 3-man knockup. There's going to be two. Whole Grain's going to get the kill. Meanwhile, on the backside, Filiberto does get the kill on the weak side, but he's going to get himself another kill on the Charizard. Filiberto is the problem, and you got your main damage source taken out. Whole Grain is going to fall, and we're going to see Odd Mitch fall next.
I think that's going to be the series, Gaiken. I mean, these death timers are pretty long at this point. The shortest one is weak side, 26 seconds. Collective effort pushing into the base. I think they're going to try to take the series.
I mean, even if they don't take the tier 4 towers and the Nexus itself, what is PGO going to do? They have no way of stopping Filiberto. Like, no way at all.
Not at all, and that is going to be collective effort. They lost earlier in the season to Predictive Gaming Oden in a close series. They showed us today that that was a fluke. They were not to be messed with. They come through a decisive 3-0 victory in the semifinals. We've seen two 3-0 semifinals here so far, and that sets up an awesome battle that everyone has been waiting for all season long. Collective effort going to be taking on Lost Chapter in the last game of the season for the CCS. That's going to be on Thursday, and yes, these semifinals might have been a little bit more hype if they went to more games, but it sets up the most hype game of all between two teams that have dominated this league all season long, and the culmination of that is just 3 days away.
Yeah, it definitely should be a lot of fun to watch. I'll try to catch it. Unfortunately, I guess depending on how you look at it, I do have other plans. I have to bowl on Thursday night, but I will make sure to catch it. If not, if anything, the replay to see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. I definitely like watching the more of these amateur leagues than, let's say, the pros. They're more exciting to watch, and there's a lot more interesting plays and things to happen. But yeah, congrats to Collective Gaming. They dominated. They dominated this series. They did everything right. They threw a couple fights. I mean, it's bound to happen. But I think they played the game well. They played to their strengths, and they gave Crit You Now Aatrox, and that's all he wanted in life.
Yeah, and they did show some cracks in PGO. They had some good team fighting, even from behind. As you said, they did find some openings where they did find some engages. They used their team comp for what it was meant to do, but just especially with the way that they went down early in the game, it made it hard for them to come back. And collective effort, they just did their due diligence. They finished it out, and Philly B played every little bit like an MVP should play in this series. But you heard it here first, y'all. If you're not bowling, you should be watching CCS, and we hope that we see you all here on Thursday. I'm Elsa the Queen, and I was very pleased to be joined here by Gaiken. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Have a good night, everyone.